Let's try again. Okay, let's see if we work this time. We're gonna make it work. Microphone is back. Now I just gotta check one thing else. Okay. We're in. Welcome to the long-awaited Super Paper Mario 2 live stream. We're here. I've finally got it working this time. So, this is one for the original subs. All of you from the old times of the early 2020s. Some of you may remember I was working on a little project. It was a little more ambitious than I could manage. But I was working on a little project called Super Paper Mario 2. I wrote up a whole script for a second game, turn-based RPG style. It was going to be this big community thing. I was going to get loads of people in to help with like voicing characters, making artwork, and whatever. And then it just kind of fell flat for a while and never really went anywhere. And then eventually I did sort of loop back around to it after a few years, and I tampered with the script and whatever, but there was only so far I really got before calling it a day. But I figured, well, you know, I might as well put an end to the whole thing and actually discuss it and get all the ideas out in the world. And then, you know, if you guys really like it, maybe one day I pick it back up. If I could get a proper team behind it, it could be a possibility. But yeah, so welcome to the chat. Today we're going to discuss all things Super Paper Mario 2. First of all, the music you are hearing. This is the soundtrack to Super Paper Mario 2. Most of it was composed by the artist formerly known as Dementio21, and a few bits of it were composed by other people who I got permission to use the music in the project. Obviously, this is probably not what they thought it was going to end up being used for, but hey, this is the project. This is the final bit of the project. I don't need this in now. So yeah, so we're gonna discuss Super Paper Mario 2. It's been a long time coming. So I've got all the artwork on here and whatever. But yeah, so it's an interesting one. You see, I started my channel on the premise that, you know, I was playing Super Paper Mario, and I love the game. It's still one of my favorite games. Absolutely love it. And I figured, well, you know, it might be fun to try and do something new. So we just went off and I just wrote it. And this was about 6 years ago now, mind you. Not quite, but almost. I mean, my channel started almost six years ago, in 2 months' time. End of May. But I started working on this, I believe, somewhere around August or September of 2020. This was an early project. Very early project for me. And yeah, I wanted to make something. I wanted to do something that would put my channel on the map, have such a massive project that would like come to fruition and be this massive thing that everyone would want to see and that people would talk about. But obviously my ambitions were a little bit ahead of the capabilities I had on my channel, with the size of my channel and everything, and just with the amount of people required and my limited skill set. I'm not a brilliant artist at times. I can do some things well and some things I can't do well. Limited voice, you know, I need a lot of people to do voices. So it just kind of fizzled. But it is what it is. But I wanted to revisit it. So I am going to discuss characters first. I think. I don't know. I don't even know how I want to do this. This is, you know, I didn't plan for this. But yeah, it was you know, it was a really, it was for all it was a fun project to work on. Even if it didn't go anywhere. Um, so my plan is I want to share with you the art that I made and the art that my team made over the years. Talk about the battle system that I planned out, because I did plan out a whole ass battle system with moves and tattles and all sorts of statistics. We also got a, you know, I got some notes for the the plot, and I do have the entire script that we will read through. So I guess we'll start with the art. So the idea with this one is I wanted to pull heavily from Super Paper Mario, as this is like a direct sequel with the same characters and whatever. And so I wanted to bring back all my favorites, the whole Black team, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser, Mr. L, who obviously was the namesake of my channel. And yeah, it was. I wanted to find my concept drawings, but I can't find them. They're lost in the office somewhere. But it would have been really cool if I could have got the concept drawings in. Let me just check the audio's still okay for you guys. I don't want the music to be louder than the talking or vice versa. Yeah, I think we're fine. We may get adverts on the YouTube playlist, but it is what it is. I will try my best to mute the adverts between songs, but yeah. So I've got the Super Paper Mario 2 OST going. But yeah, so my idea was I wanted to bring back all the characters from the first Super Paper Mario, and I wanted to create a completely original story with some original characters. We were set it back in the Mushroom Kingdom. But yeah, we've got quite an array of characters in the cast. And yeah, I'm gonna pull up the folder, and I'm gonna go through the whole like character list. Drawings, Mr. L, Super Mario 2, characters. Brilliant. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's going quite well. You know, we've all put a lot of time and effort into it over the years. So the first characters is Blumiere / Count Black. This is alphabetical, and so I did art, and I don't know how well we're going to see the art. There we go. So I did kind of an art for Blumiere where he's got like the green going on instead of the red and orange. Yeah, I made this kind of. And then obviously the traditional Count Black style. Black. Oh god, it's been a while since I've seen you, old friend. Next characters we got just a generic bomb. So here's your yeah, there's the thing. There's your bomb, and there's me, and then there's the bomb again, and then there's me, and then there's the bomb again. We got a Boo as well. We got a shy little Boo. Look at that. We brought Bulossus back as a boss. Look at this chunky fella. This was one of my semi-original characters. I have like a few characters in this that are semi-original. The concepts surrounding them are not original. The sources where they came from. But what I've done is I have made a new character with this is Bushu. This is Bushu. It's it's Morshu from the shopkeeper from the Legend of Zelda CDI game, but as a Boo. I don't know why. We just went for it. So yeah, this is Bush. Lamp oil, rope, bombs. You want it? It's yours, my friend. As long as you have enough coins. But yes, that's Bushu. He just runs a shop in the game. It's literally Morshu as a Boo. It's kind of cursed. I tried a Goomba version, and that's even more cursed. We got Bowser out here. Yeah, I say a lot of Bowser. This is Captain Toadbeard. He's a pirate. He's like kind of a pirate. He's a sailor. He's got a pirate hat. He's got a beard because that's what makes him Toadbeard. I was still a kid when I started this, which is crazy. I was like 16 when I started this project, and I am now 22. But yeah, some of these ideas were definitely 16-year-old me is doing. This was oh boy. So this is may seem like a normal Bob-omb, which is very wide eyes, but this is, god damn it, this is Corporal Kaboom. He was a character from a series I did on Mario Maker 2 of levels called Boom Boom Story. He was like a side character, a main side character. I wanted to give him a little army hat, and I guess I never got around to doing that. Then the fuse was going to be sticking up through the army hat. So, you know, I had a plan. This is as far as I got. Next up, we got Daisy in paper form. Paper Daisy. Yeah. This music, this is the Toad Town music for the project. It's got a mix of some of the other Toad Towns from Paper Mario and Bowser's Inside Story, I think. And a bit of an origami theme in there, which is cool. Next character I've got for you, I do have to skip a couple, because they will come up later. Next one I got is Dementio. Everybody loves Dementio. He's back because, of course, he is. This is one of my favorite characters. This one. This is one that's kind of been a long-running joke in my fan base since the dawn of time. This is Ducris. So this is Ducris. He's a Dupligos like Dupless, but his name is Ducris. You know, Chris with Do on the front. It's stupid, but that's the point. It's supposed to be stupid. His entire character is just getting berated for how dumb his name is and people thinking he's Dupless. But he's got the red hat. He's got the red hat and he's got the red tie instead of the blue one. So this is not Dupless. Like I said, semi-original character. See, there's Dupless. The man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Dupless. That's a dry bones. Ducris. Dupless. Ducris. Dupless. Ducris. Ducris. Dupless. And that's just a dry bones. We got Fawful back in as well. This was the main thing, was doing the crossover that I think most people wanted out of Paper Jam, was bringing Dementio and Fawful together. Because Fawful was just such a great character, and then, you know, he's not been used in the paper realm, whereas you know, he got used in Inside Story and Superstar Saga briefly parts of the time. And then this is just a fire bro. Not my best work. What is going on with the eyes? Then we got absolutely underrated, goated character, Flint Cragley. Cragley ho! He was in Chapter 5 of Super Paper Mario. It's just like a a side character for half the world, but I brought him back because he's kind of cool. Additionally, I brought back Francis. Sweet, it's Francis. Ironically, I also got Giant Stone Spike, but the image is tiny. So let me zoom in, and it's really pixelated because I zoomed in, but Giant Stone Spike. Of course, the Giant Stone Spike has the tiniest picture. And then, would you believe it, the peak of originality. Goomba! I do have some original Goombas, though, which are kind of cool. I got Goombaluigi. Yeah, Goombaluigi. Goomboshi. This guy's cool. He's got a spring with an egg on the top and a Yoshi shirt. This guy loves Yoshis. Yeah, he's like a whole Yoshi fanboy. And then we also got well, there's the advert. We also got Goom Peach. I want to specify that was Goom with an M. Goom Peach. You know, it's a Goomba cosplaying Peach. You know, I thought it was neat. I thought it was neat. And then this is the exact same Fire Bro, but recolored for Ice Bro. Like, the drawing is the exact same down to the wonky eyes. It's identical. We cut corners. And then this Goomba is Peak. This Goomba is Jeff. My name, Jeff. He's got the backwards cap, so you know he's the cool Goomba. You know this guy's the awesome Goomba. He's got the backwards hat. I also brought back the Koopa Bros from Paper Mario 64. They're here. Yeah. Yay for whoever liked Paper Mario 64. It's the weakest one for me. We got the basic Koopa Trooper. Koopa. And then, yeah, there's our boy Luigi. Luigi, look. And, of course, Mr. L, his counterpart, and if you've seen the thumbnail of this live stream, this is on my thumbnail, because this used to be my channel logo back in the day. Oh, wow, how times have changed. Now I'm the logo. Yes, I know it's a downgrade. Anyway, here's Mario. We got some more characters. This is a shady Monty Mole. He exists. Look at this dude. Nastasia. I love Nastasia. She's such a good character. Very underrated. I do a lot more with her in this script. For some reason, I don't have an image of O-Chunks right now, but I do have the O-Cabbage variant, because sure, that's what I've got on me. We do also have Merlon and Mimi, but I didn't get the art done for these in time, so they're there, they're here. I got this absolute mad lad of a Goomba. This is old Goomba Pierce. Huh, who's that? Who's there? I'm old Goomba Pierce. Back in my day, who used to go and get stomped on by Mario. I named him Pierce after the old guy in Community. That's the show I was watching at the time. I got Princess Peach as well. Hello, Princess. This was a concept art I had for a giant dragon in the sand level. This is the Sando dragon. You know, this guy was supposed to. This was going to be a boss level. This giant dragon. It's not neat. Its head's kind of Koopa-like. That's kind of the point. It's not neat. I wasn't again. My art was really not that good back then. Because that was just based on an actual drawing concept I drew up on the way to a Center Parks one time. Oh, yeah, here's the shady guy. This is Sniff. He's a shady sniffit. He does all sorts of dodgy stuff. He's a spike pogging. We did also have Saffron the chef from Flipside, PD Piranha, a Scuttlebug, a Sombrero guy, but they didn't get art either. And then this is my rendition of Timpani, who spends the entire first game as that butterfly. This is my human version. Yeah, there you go. I did a few concepts. I got some concepts here. See, and then I tried giving her orange hair to kind of stand out more with colors, but then I settled on blonde. I don't know, Timpani just struck me as a blonde in the end, so we went for blonde. And then we got a Paper Waluigi. Waluigi time! And a Paper Wario. Oh, Wario! Oh my god! The idea was that they were both going to have stores where they sold items. That's and then the rest of those I think are concept arts for later. Because I got 3 other characters here that I'm not going to show you the art for until we actually get to the scene in the script that they're in, because I don't want to spoil anything. So I've actually got some original ideas. Would you believe it? 16-year-old me had original ideas. Oh my god. I made items. There's a 1-up. There was a 1-up and a 1-up and a 1-up. I can't remember which 1-up was which. Fire flower, ice flower, mushroom, shrooms, ultra mushroom, thunder flower. I don't remember what this mushroom was. That's another mushroom. I'll check. The purple mushroom was the ultra mushroom. The blue was super. The mushroom with the arrow pointy uppy eyes was 1-up deluxe, and then the one with the gold border was 1-up supreme. And then I've got I got myself a save block. Yeah, how important and original. Super syrup, regular syrup, and ultra syrup. But yeah, so I made items for the game. And then we got backgrounds. We made a lot of different backgrounds for the game. Some of them were me, some of them were various people on my team. Truth be told, I don't remember who made all of it. So I can't exactly say credit-wise who made what. But so just thank you to all the team. Your contributions are here, valid here, and I'm not going to claim certain art is mine when it isn't, but I genuinely don't remember now who did what. So we had this, let me make sure I've got the right settings for each. Oh, this theme is interesting. Fort Luftwaffe, and it's 4/4's theme played in reverse, because Luftwaffe is 4/4 backwards. Anyway, so yeah, locations. This is Bob-omb Road. It's very reminiscent of World 1 Level 1 in the New Soup games. Then we got this is the Pyramid and Bone Dry Desert. And that's Bone Dry Desert, where you can see the town as well as the pyramid. That's very, like, zoomed out, end of Chapter 1, Super Paper Mario kind of looking thing. Here's Morshu's shop. Yeah, here's Morshu's shop. And he's got all sorts of items and, yape. We got Bowser's Castle as well. Bowser's Castle's here. That was a very basic design. I did that one. I did Morshu's shop. We did Count Black's Inner Sanctum. Yeah, there we go. This was Dreary Darkness, and it is it's literally just darkness with some fire. There's Dreary Darkness once you can actually see what's going on. This was supposed to be forth from Dementio's lair. It's kind of similar to where Count Black's meetings were. I can't really get the colors to show, but like the squares are colored. See, purple and whatever. It's not that important. This was you know that hill at the end of Super Paper Mario at the end of the end credits? Yeah, here's it at night. I spent ages on this. I actually did make this one. I'm quite happy with it. And then we got some other location. So I made like a battle stage here, and this is where the battles of the whole thing were supposed to go on. That's an advert again. This is where all the battles were supposed to go on. So I do actually have a clip later of a simulated trial battle that I did on here that I'll be able to show you. In fact, actually, I will show it to you now. Let's see how well you could see this. See, it was going to be like, it's almost like stop motion. You can see why this would have taken absolutely forever, though. Yes, that was a battle. And yeah, you can see why that would have taken just absolutely forever to do loads of those. So we also made Peach's Castle. So let's see if it shows up. This was my original kind of layout of Peach's Castle. It shows up. There we go. So my original idea was you entered into this room here. And yes, I believe I made this one. You entered into here, which was like the front door. It's like the Mario 64 looking thing. And then you go up the stairs to the star door, which would then open. And you can see the stairs back there. And then you would go up the stairs. And you would arrive in this room with a mirror. The mirror is important later. I then got some help. And we redid the design. So again, can't remember who made it. But here is the new Peach's Castle design. It's based more on the design in the Origami King. And then here's the upstairs room with the mirror. I'm not sure what the idea was behind the way they designed the mirror, but whoever that was, I think it's pretty neat. And then we do also have the basement of the castle. So yeah, we did kind of revamp Peach's Castle. Additionally, I did the outside of Bowser's Castle. And then, see how well this shows up. I made Toad Town in its entirety. Yes, you start down there. You work your way around. I'll show you each of those pictures individually now. So you've seen Bowser's Castle. So down here, we have, this was the path leading to one of the shops. There's another shop. That's thrown away. Path leading to the Deadwood Forest. The main fountain, and there's a real throwback for those who know from early in my channel. Toad's Barbecue and Foot Massage. I forgot I left that in there, actually. Toad's Barbecue and Foot Massage. Forgot I left that in there. That is so funny, honestly. That's tickled me. That has tickled me. That's back to Deadwood Forest. That's the boat to get to Cragley Island. That's a Toad house. There's a bunch of those around. That's the path to the Bob-omb Road. There's the entrance to Peach's Castle. There's in the middle, there's an inn where Daisy runs the inn. There's the Mellow Plains and the Bone Dry Desert, and that's all of Toad Town. And then, I also made this. I made, Peach's Castle. Yeah! And then this is the version used later in the story, which I think was pretty neat. So that's about all the locations I've got. I did also make this pretty neat sort of promotional art, if you will, mixing the two together. That was pretty neat. I had this concept drawing for what the final area was going to look like, but I kind of just drew in the car at one point. And it looked like this. This was like where the final chapter occurs. So you start at the bottom, and then you would get, there's a Wario item store. You got your first battle there, and then you would go up here and around Waluigi's there. That's another item store, and then back to this platform, which would be your next fight. Then you'd go around to this inn where Daisy is to save your game before going to the final platform, where you deal with the Chaos Heart stuff again. I think that's about it for visual stuff. It's about all the artwork I've got for it. I might as well run through the systems a little bit. Yes, I created an entire battle system for this thing, and everyone would have like these. Every character had their own move set that cost different SP, and when you leveled up, you got different things. And there are a lot of playable characters over the duration of the game, and you could basically pick any two at one time to be in a fight. Sometimes you were forced in your choices, but sometimes you had the free choice. So, for example, Mario, he's there from the start. He jumps and he has a hammer attack. But as you clear each chapter, you get an extra move. So he gets a shell shot, a line jump, multi-hammer, line shell, iron jump, quake hammer, and a multi-shell. Luigi's available here and there. You've got a jump and a hammer with Luigi, but he disappears for a while, and then he's got moves for chapters 6, 7, and 8. God, I'm sorry. He's got the spring jump, the hurl hammer, and the spiny shell. Corporal Kaboom is available pretty early. He's got the Bob-omb Barge and Tattle as his mains, followed by a mini Kaboom, Mega Kaboom, and the whole Bob-omb squad. Think Cragley, he's got a jump. He's got Cragley Ho, which is like a buff move. Cragley Rally, Cragley Charge, Cragnon Army, and an Avalanche. Peach has a jump, Parasol Jump, Pow Store, Parasol Defense, and Group Pow Store. Bowser's got a punch, a ground flame, an air flame, shell defense, shell attack, and a mega flame. The stage has got a jump, call for backup, enemy flee, dizzy, brainwash, and weaken. Blumiere's got magic projectile, void, speed up, and time slow. O-Chunks has charge, flip, ground pound, and ground throw. Timpani also uses the magic projectile and the void like Lumiere, and speed up and time slow, all the same moves. Dementio has a magic projectile, a magic field, and copy projectiles. While Forfall has a jump, a laser gun, and the vacuum helmet projectiles. So yeah, I got all these moves for all the different characters. I made some other items that I didn't show earlier. Yeah, I didn't make them, like I didn't make the art for them. But there was going to be a few other items. So you've seen up to the roast shroom. There's going to be waffles, which you can make at Sweet Smiles and Flipside, and using syrup. The shroom steak, in which you give a super mushroom at Sweet Smiles, it gives you more health. Pancakes, which you use super syrup, and mushroom cake, which is made with an ultra mushroom or an ultra syrup. So that was going to be a whole number thing. I also jotted down a cost of how much these items cost in the game. I wrote tattles for all of the different characters in fights and whatever. Because obviously Kaboom's got one of the moves as tattle. So I wrote tattles for all of them. Let's see, what else have I got to show you before we head on to the script? See if you can see it, but I made a whole world map painted on Microsoft Excel. But yeah, that was the world map for the whole thing. What else have I got? Let's see. Fun, YouTube, Super Paper Mario 2, info. Got the allies list, that's fine, don't need that. Paragon list, I don't need. Battle system we've been through. I think it might just be the script now. Okay. I'll get it up on my phone because I've got the newer version of the script is on here. So I will note that I did actually write 2 endings to the script because I wasn't sure which one I wanted to go with. It depended more or less on whether I wanted a happy ending or a bittersweet ending. Personally, I think I prefer the bittersweet ending, but it is what it is. They're both bittersweet in a way, but one stings a little worse than the other. But yeah, so we'll crack on in one moment. But yeah, really, I do want to thank everyone involved. If you're watching this and you were involved at any point, thank you for your contributions. Even if I don't remember who did what, it was kind of all a big team effort. I couldn't have got as far as I did without the people who helped. Special shout out to the artist formerly known as Dementio21, Space Lobster. Thank you for orchestrating so much good music for this thing, as well as helping with some of the character design and, test reading script parts and whatever. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that we're here and we've gotten to a point where I have enough to present. Yeah. Yes, the script's seen a few changes over time. I think I most recently edited it at some point, maybe early last year, and just kind of went through and edited a few bits that I think that younger me thought was a good idea, but I disagreed. But yeah, just feels kind of crazy that I'm actually going through this. I wasn't sure if I was ever actually going to touch Super Paper Mario 2 again, but here we are. We're doing it. We're really doing it. So yeah, let's start with the script. Let's finally go to the script. So was that a knock? That was not a knock. All right, let's read the script. Super Paper Mario 2: The Legend of the Paragons. That is the full name of the thing. It is a mouthful. I would not be attempting voice acting. There are way too many characters here. I'm just going to read the character's name before the dialogue so you know who's speaking. My hope was that if I could find my drawings, I can hold up the drawing of who was talking, but it didn't work out. I couldn't find the drawings. They're lost in the back rooms somewhere. So, the prologue. The scene opens on like this ancient scroll that kind of rolls out, and there's words written on the scroll that get narrated. So here's the narration. Ahem. Today I will tell you a story. It is a story of love, life, loss, evil, and redemption. 2,000 years ago, the ancients predicted that six would unite to become something greater and more powerful. And if that power was used correctly, that power could bring peace to all worlds. If the power is abused, then there could be consequences of cataclysmic proportions. These six of which the ancients spoke of were referred to as paragons, the epitome of what they stood for. Some of these virtues were good, some were bad, but together they became balanced. Once, a being attempted to utilize the power of the paragons for his own selfish needs, but was stopped before he could achieve this objective of universal domination. The mortal paragons passed their power down through generations to those worthy of being a paragon of their given virtue. The paragons would cease to exist if they unite to become one, so their identities are kept secret, and none know where to begin to look for them. But maybe they've already been found. But this is our story, which has only just begun. Join me as we enter this exciting new chapter of adventure and mystery. The scroll zooms in on a map of the Mushroom Kingdom, which soon becomes real as the camera flies through Toad Town to Peach's castle and into its front door, which is open. I wanted to do like a real nice sort of slick kind of animation there. But again, I'm reaching above what I can actually reach with my ideas. So yeah, now we get to the opening. A scene is set in Peach's castle where Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser have met up after receiving a letter from an old friend. I could probably play the music that needs to play in each section. That would be kind of cool. No, I'll just leave it. Peach says, "It's so nice to hear from Tippy and Black again." Luigi says, "I think you'll meet Dimpany and Bloomy, princess." Bowser says, "Who cares what we call them? I want to know what they wrote." Mario takes the letter and opens it. Mario was still mute for this entire game, like in all Paper Mario games. He reads it. Timpani and Blumiere voice over and read the letter. Timpani says, "Dear Mario, Peach, Bowser, and Luigi, we're writing to you to let you know that we are okay. Saving all worlds did not cost us our lives, but we must return to you now." Blumiere adds, "Our old foe Dementio has returned. Dementio is up to something evil. We're not sure what exactly, but he seems to be on a manhunt." Timpani adds, "He seeks the Paragons of old lore. Legends from 2,000 years ago speak of the Paragons with a power unknown to the world. Dementio believes himself to be one of them, the Paragon of reality. How he came to this conclusion, we do not know." Blumiere continues, "He may be seeking the other Paragons for his own twisted desires. We cannot allow him to succeed. Thus we are traveling to the Mushroom Kingdom to aid you." Timpani says, "Please be safe. We will be with you shortly." And Blumiere finishes, "Keep your guard up. We don't know what exactly Dementio is planning, but we are sure it's nothing good." From Timpani and Blumiere. The camera zooms back out to the group and Mario puts the letter away. Luigi says, "That doesn't sound so good." Peach says, "I've never heard of a Paragon before." Bowser asks, "Am I one of them? There must be a power whatever of awesomeness or power or being evil." Luigi adds, "Well, we shouldn't waste time. Let's go." Peach asks, "Go where exactly?" And Bowser says, "Why don't we just go outside and hope they conveniently turn up?" Luigi says, "Okay then, we'll follow you, Mario." Mario proceeds to walk outside the castle. And then Peach informs, "Mario, you do remember to jump you have to press A, right? I worked on a whole tutorial." Mario is prompted to jump, he jumps. Luigi adds, "Mario, you remember how to swing your hammer, right? Press B." Mario swings his hammer. Bowser says, "Hey Mario, you remember we need to go now, right? If you need to open stuff, interact, talk, or etc., press A when near the thing you want to interact with. Now let's get moving." Mario is prompted to open the front door of Peach's castle, and the group move outside of Peach's castle. Luigi asks, "So, which way now?" Blumiere and Timpani appear into the area in front of them. Timpani says, "Why, hello, so nice to see you again." Blumiere adds, "So, any idea where Dementio might be?" A drone screen appeared in front of the group. And then we got a character, Luffwaff. A hooded character, we can't see who it is. Those who know. And Luffwaff on the screen says, "Greetings, heroes. It appears to me that you are looking for Dementio, that nefarious jester, am I correct? Well, you're in luck. I, Luffwaff the genius, have found Dementio. If you wish to meet him, I am holding him in captivity in my lair. Come find me at the end of Bob-omb Road. Until then, I shall keep Dementio in my custody. Please arrive soon." And the screen drone flies away into the distance. And Blumiere says, "Well, it would seem like that's a good place to go." Timpani asks, "Why don't you go check it out, Mario? We'll stay here for a while and catch up with Peach, Bowser, and Luigi." Luigi says, "No, I'm coming with you, bro. The Mario Bros are back in action." Peach says, "Be safe, you two." And Bowser says, "Don't get your games ended, stupid bros. You might be of some use to us." Luigi says, "Okay, bro. Bob-omb Road is west of Toad Town. Just follow the signs. Let's go." Mario sets out towards Toad Town West and Bob-omb Road. And now we enter Chapter 1, an explosive beginning. Mario continues up Bob-omb Road and comes face to face with the Bob-omb. Luigi, "Oh, hey, Mario. You see that hostile Bob-omb there? Maybe we should fight him. We haven't been in a battle for a while. Let's go." Mario and the Bob-omb fight, and we're going to work in a tutorial here. "Hey Mario, I don't suppose you know what you're doing here, huh? Let me explain how this works." I can't keep this up. So you have a set of attacks. You have your jump attacks, indicates the jump icon. Your hammer attacks indicates the hammer. Your special attacks, despite you don't have any yet, indicate the special. And your items indicates item icon. For now, try just using a jump attack on this Bob-omb. Mario selects jump. He prepares for a jump. Mario, the jump attack will stomp your enemy once. If you press A as you land on the enemy, you can do a second jump. Try it now. Mario stomps the Bob-omb, stomps him again. There you go. Bob-omb begins to attack. Mario, that Bob-omb is about to attack you. You can't avoid the attack, but you could reduce the amount of damage you take by pressing A just as the enemy strikes. Try to counter him. Bob-omb dashes at Mario. Mario guards to reduce damage. There you go. You can't stop them, so it's best you guard when getting attacked to minimize damage. Now try your hammer attack. Mario selects the hammer. As you swing your hammer back, there will be a circle that will charge up. When the circle is complete, it will then pulse. Once that happens, press A and swing your hammer down with maximum power. Mario successfully lands the excellent hammer attack. Luigi says, there you go, he's defeated, but here's another one. Allow me to take care of him. After your turn ends, I can take my turn, along with any allies in your selected team. You can pick any 2 members to be active at any time, but you may not switch them during battle. You can only switch characters outside of battle only. However, you don't have to be an active member if you wish to take a break. You could, for instance, put me and Bowser in. Anyway, my turn. Luigi's action icons appear. As you see, allies also have 2 primary attacks. In my case, jump and hammer also, and special attacks which we don't have yet. So allies move just like you, but occasionally have different movesets. For example, Bowser uses punch instead of jump and flame instead of hammer. So now I shall select an attack and defeat this Bob-omb. Luigi attacks, defeats the Bob-omb. If a partner is KO'd, the other may use 1-up mushrooms to refill half or full health to your partner. Well, that's all for now, bro. Let's go meet this Luftwaffe guy. I'm not sure I trust that guy. He seems shady, but if he has Dementio, we should go. Mario and Luigi keep walking until they reach Fort Luftwaffe. Wow, slightly underwhelming. What's that, Mario? You don't trust Luftwaffe? I don't either, bro. If Dementio is here, we have to confront him. Mario and Luigi enter the fort. All the lights are off. Hey, it's dark inside. Somebody turn on the lights. Luftwaffe says, greetings, Mario Bros. I am Luftwaffe the Genius. I am the one who called you here. I have acquired the asset you seek. Behold, the one you seek. A cage containing Dementio is lowered. Let me out. Don't you know who I am? I'm Dementio, the Harlequin adored, the Jester applauded, the rightful king of all worlds. Luftwaffe replies, silence, Finkrat. Luigi, come on down and receive your prize. Me? Okay. Luigi walks towards Luftwaffe and falls into a trapdoor. Mario! Luftwaffe continues. I have many laughs at this. Oh, forget it. Keeping up this disguise is not easy. Luftwaffe removes the disguise and, surprise, surprise, it's Forful. I have chortles. Now the green mustache is trapped in this house like a helpless fly in the web of a laughing spider. And Dementio adds, yes, you really thought I had been captured. I'm Dementio. Now it's time to say goodbye to you, Mario. I've put together a little surprise for you. Let's just say it'll be a blast. And then Forful adds, now you'll be blown into pieces like an unsolvable jigsaw puzzle of stupid. Farewell, Finkrat. Dementio and Forful leave as Mario runs out of the fort. Mario gets outside and the fort explodes. And somebody says, whoa, that was a huge explosion. Corporal Kaboom walks over towards Mario, my little Bob-omb guy from earlier. And he says, whoa, hey, I'm not a bad Bob-omb. I'm Kaboom. Come with me if you want to live. Kaboom takes Mario to his house. So, you're a legendary Mario, huh? Well, I'm Kaboom. I live here on Bob-omb Road. I saw Fort Forful explode, so I thought I'd come look at the explosion. I love explosions. I'm a Bob-omb. I explode all the time. We can just blow up whenever we feel like doing so. Say, Mario, I would like to help you on your quest to stop Forful. I presume that's the plot of this game. So, can I join? Forful reprogrammed the Bob-ombs in his place to serve him, except for me. I escaped his fort. He brainwashes everyone who enters that place. Wait. Didn't you go into that fort with the green guy? Is he still there? He might get brainwashed too. Anyway, let's go save your green friend and defeat Forful. Then I'll be a hero to these Bob-ombs. Let's go, as you would say. Kaboom joins the party and they proceed to return to Toad Town, which is somewhat quiet. And Kaboom continues talking. Hey, where is everyone? Maybe they're all in Peach's castle. I hear that place is kind of a hot spot for tourism, and of course the princess lives there. Get to the castle! Just hope that your princess isn't in another castle. Mario looks annoyed. And Kaboom adds, I'm just messing with you. Never like a throwback to the classics. Considering this is a game, you should know what I mean. People reference you all the time. What, you say this isn't a game? Well, sure, fine. You live in a world with only 3 walls while I break the 4th wall. He turns towards the camera. Hey, player, come on, get moving. Mario and Kaboom walk towards Peach's castle and enter. And Kaboom says, well, I guess I was wrong. There's nobody here. What do we do now, Mario? Mario shrugs. Kaboom says, wait, I know who can help. There's a famous adventurer who has come to the Mushroom Kingdom recently. I'm a huge fan of his. He is currently over on Cragley Island. Wait, you know Flint Cragley already? Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Well, I want to meet him, so let's go find him. He might be able to help us find Forful and find out where everyone is. Mario and Kaboom head over to the docks south of Toad Town. So, can you sail a boat? I don't have hands, so you're gonna have to sail the wait, you don't know how to do that? Oh. And then someone else says, did somebody call for a captain? Kaboom explodes out of shock, and Captain Toadbeard rocks up and says, ahoy, Mario. Sorry I startled your friend. I heard you need a captain and I'm your Toad. I be Captain Toadbeard, owner of the only vessel in the kingdom capable of sailing the mighty seas. I can ferry ye across to Cragley Island. So, ready to head out? Aye, aye, Captain. Kaboom says, gee, I'm very easily startled. Can't just pop up out of nowhere, okay? Anyways, yes, let's go to Cragley Island. The trio gets onto the boat and sail away towards Cragley Island. And Kaboom says, hey, Mario, why are pirates pirates? Because they are! Captain Toadbeard replies, hey, cut that out. I have only one rule here aboard me ship. No pirate jokes. It's bad luck for pirates like me. You'll make us sink and send us straight to Davy Jones's locker. And Kaboom, disappointed, says, oh, well then. The ship sails away to Cragley Island and the crew disembark. Initially when I wrote it, I wrote Kaboom standing on the front of a ship and saying, I'm king of the world! Like Titanic, and the joke was going to be that Captain Toadbeard says, like, that one rule is you don't reference the movie about a sinking ship. But then I changed it. I don't know. I wasn't sure if people would get it. The ship sails away to Cragley Island, the crew disembark. Captain Toadbeard says, land ho! Exit on the starboard! Kaboom says, hey Mario. God, I forgot I'd written this. What's a pirate's favorite vitamin? Vitamin C! And then a spike ball lands on the ship. Captain Toadbeard exclaims, me ship! Your jokes have enraged the 7 seas, you filthy landlubber.
Cozy up in a new...
Okay, that's a Nintendo Switch 2 advert. Kaboom says, oh, didn't think anything would actually happen. So, what is that? It looks like some sort of stone spike ball? Captain Toadbeard adds, well, we're not sailing anytime soon, so you should go explore the island while I patch up me ship. And Kaboom says, okay, let's go, Mario. Kaboom and Mario explore deeper into the island. Not too far in, they find Flint Cragley trapped. And Flint Cragley says his catchphrase, his signature line, Cragley ho! Kaboom says, oh my gosh, Flint Cragley, I can't believe it's you, I'm such a huge fan. And Cragley says, that's great and all, but I'm kind of stuck here. I was searching for my next adventure for my TV show, Flint Cragley, Cragtrotter, and I ended up here for my Mushroom Kingdom special. The fans back in downtown of Crag will be so excited when they see what I found here. Next thing I knew, I was face to Crag with a giant monster. The monster just spits out these boulders like Crag. Kaboom says, one of those boulders hit our boat, so we can't leave. But we actually came to find you. So how do we save you, Mr. Cragley? And Cragley says, I don't need saving. I'm an adventurer who laughs in the face of fear. This is nothing to me. But if you want to help, you could take down that giant monster. Kaboom says, where is he? I can take him, Mr. Cragley. There's a rumbling. Cragley says, right there, I guess. The giant stone spike emerges. Kaboom says, wow, that's a giant stone spike. Let's fight him, Mario. Let's go. And the battle begins. And Kaboom says, hey, Mario, check out my attack icons. Instead of jumping, I can do a bob-on barge. And instead of hammer attacks, I have this thing called a tattle. I can tell you the stats and potential weaknesses of our enemies. With this, you can see the amounts of health our selected opponent has left. Allow me to demonstrate. Kaboom selects the tattle. That's the giant stone spike. He's captured my hero, Flint Cragley, so we need to defeat him. He seems to be susceptible to hammer attacks to the gut. Health 10, attack 2. Kaboom says, see, you need to attack his gut with your hammer. Give it a go, Mario. The battle continues until 10 damage is dealt to the giant stone spike and he is defeated. He dies. Flint Cragley has freed himself. Cragley says, Cragley ho! Our star has been assisted by Mario and... What's your name, fellow? Kaboom says, I'm Kaboom. So nice to meet you, Mr. Cragley. Cragley says, Mario and Kaboom. Together, we bravely defeated the giant stone spike and restored peace to the island. And cut. So, what can I help you two with? Kaboom says, Mario and I need help finding our friends in the Mushroom Kingdom, and I thought maybe you could help us. And so Cragley adds, So the brave Flint Cragley journeys into the Kingdom of Mushroom in search of lost allies of Mario and Kaboom. Tune in next week to find out what happens. Until next time, Cragley ho! And then we head on to Chapter 2. Your king is in another castle. Quick break for my throat. Okay. Chapter 2, your king's in another castle. Kaboom says, Right, now we need to hope that Captain Toadbeard has fixed his boat. Captain Toadbeard very conveniently appears. Ahoy, mateys! Did somebody call for a captain? Kaboom says, We found Flint Cragley. Did you manage to fix the boat yet? And Captain Toadbeard says, Yar, we're ready to set sail to mainland Mushroom Kingdom whenever ye be ready. Flint Cragley says, Onward to the Mushroom Kingdom to find Mario's friends. Cragley ho! The crew hop onto the boat and sail back to the dock on mainland Mushroom Kingdom, and the scene changes to a cutscene between Dementia and Forful in hiding. I'll try and differentiate the voices, so I'd have to say the names now, but Dementia first, then Forful. Dementia says, Bravo on that disguise, Forful. Forful says, Yes, the stupid Finkrats were none the wiser. Now the Mushroom Kingdom is for Forful! And Dementia. So, what do you make of this Paragon situation? Forful is also a Paragon. Paragon of intellect. Am I too also a Paragon? Of course. Why else would Forful be working with you? Dementia is the Paragon of reality. Reality? I presume because I can manipulate reality in my dimension. Anyway, we should probably find these other Paragons. Who else is a Paragon? Forful is keeping tabs on these Paragons. Don't worry, all parts of Forful work. All plans of Forful work. Then we shall control the Mushroom Kingdom, and then all worlds will be ours. We shall be snacking on sandwiches of ultimate power as the heroes shake in terror. Scene returns to the boat with Mario, Kaboom, Cragley, and Captain Toadbeard. Captain Toadbeard says, Land ho! I hope you enjoyed your ride. Now be sure to return again sometime if you ever wish to go back. Cragley says, Hey Kaboom, what's a pirate's favorite letter? R! A rock falls from the sky, punching a hole through the ship. Captain Toadbeard exclaims, Get off, now! The hull has been breached! Kaboom and Cragley walk off of the boat together, laughing. Cragley adds, That was funny. Kaboom says, I told you it would be. Captain Toadbeard says, Good luck on your mission, Mario. Also, kindly don't bring those two back if they're going to curse me. The trio head into Toad Town and they find Waluigi. Waluigi, Hey, over here! Kaboom says, Mario, is that lanky man one of your friends? Let's go say hello. Cragley says, Greetings, lanky man. The name's Waluigi. Welcome to Waluigi's Bargain Mines. We have the best items in Toad Town. You can drop in any time for items. Sure, they cost coins, but we're cheaper than the other guy up the road. So please, give me your coins. Kaboom says, Mario, we don't have time now, but we should come back here later. The trio continue up the road towards Peach's castle, but they pass Daisy. Daisy says, Hey, Mario. Kaboom says, Oh, are you another friend of Mario? I'm Kaboom. And Daisy replies, Oh, nice to meet you, Kaboom. I'm Daisy. Mario, Princess Peach is at the top of her castle. Someone locked her up there. You have to go save her. And if you need to refill your HP and SP, you can stay in my locations around the Mushroom Kingdom. Cragley says, Cragley ho! You should do a drinking game every time someone says Cragley ho. Craggly ho! Into the castle of Peach, a Flint Craggly crack-trotting adventure. We will brave whatever dangers are inside this castle in an attempt to rescue a damsel in distress. The trio head further north towards the castle, where suddenly they spot someone else. And it's Wario. Hey, over here. Kaboom says, another friend? Where were you all earlier? Wario says, hey, this is my store, Wario's Item Emporium. I can't do Wario so well. We have the best items in town. Forget about the lanky guy down south of Toad Town. This is where the deals are at. Come here for all your item needs and give me your coins. Kaboom says, Mario, we need to go to Peach's castle. But if you want to buy items, go ahead. Just make it quick so we can go save the princess. Mario can buy items from Wario if he wishes. And then Mario enters Peach's castle and heads upstairs. And then we are introduced to Ducris, disguised as Peach, saying, Mario, hi! Thanks for coming to save me. You're my hero. Kaboom says, something seems wrong here. Craggly says, this seems too easy. Ducris as Peach, well, shall we get going? Kaboom says, what's that in the mirror over there? This is the significance of the mirror in the upstairs of Peach's castle. Craggly says, Crag, that's the princess calling for help. But isn't she also right here in front of us? This is mind-cragging. Ducris as Peach says, I can explain. Fight! Battle between Peach and two selected heroes. You can pick Mario, Corporal Kaboom, or Flint Craggly, any of the three. You can pick any two of them to do the fight. And then once you completed the fight, Ducris as Peach says, oh, hey, watch it! And then he changes into Ducris. And Craggly says, Craggly ho! The fake princess was indeed a duper ghost. Ducris says, what's the big idea? I was just trying to have some fun, fella. Kaboom says, who are you, mister? Wait, Mario, did you say this guy is called Dupless? Ducris says, come on, man. No, I'm not Dupless. Kaboom says, so, who are you, not Dupless? Ducris says, you ready for this? Ducris! Kaboom responds, your name is actually Ducris, like Chris with a do on the front? Ducris replies, shut up. Leave me alone. You haven't seen the last of me, you meddling heroes. Kaboom says, do you serve Fawful or that jester fellow? Ducris replies, listen, mister, I don't serve nobody. You got that? Craggly retorts, so you do serve somebody? Ducris yells, shut up, I'm out of here. Catch you losers later. Ducris runs out of the castle. Kaboom says, well, he seems unhappy. Peach appears slightly above the ground and falls down. Craggly exclaims, Craggly ho! Who would have guessed? Flint Craggly has rescued the princess and restored peace to this castle. And Peach says, oh, Flint Craggly, nice to see you again. It's been a while, hasn't it? Craggly says, we've met. Peach says, in the Florosapien Caverns. Craggly says, oh, yeah, right, of course. Well, reunions are great. Peach says, well, I'm joining your party so we can go save whoever needs saving. What's happening? Oh, and where's Luigi? Kaboom says, he was captured by Fawful. And Peach says, who's Fawful? Kaboom responds, he's this beanish genius who disguised himself as Luftwaffe. He likes to manipulate minds and make people do his bidding. I escaped his clutches, but Mario's green friend wasn't so lucky. Peach says, well, if Dementia's with him, we need to stop him, so count me in. And Kaboom says, so where do we go next? Peach suggests, I imagine that Bowser might be in his castle. Let's go try that, shall we? I wouldn't be surprised if he's involved in all this. And Kaboom says, ooh, Bowser, he sounds exciting. Who's that guy? Peach says, oh, Bowser. He's the king of the Koopas, but he's kind of a bad guy. Craggly says, Craggly ho! The search for the evil Koopa King, a Flint Craggly crag-trotting adventure. Peach asks, does Flint always do this narration? And Kaboom says, yeah. It's great, isn't it? The quartet travel through Toad Town to Bowser's castle. And Kaboom remarks, I take it this is Bowser's castle, and that he looks like that face on the front of it. And Peach says, yes, that's him. He loves to change his castle all the time, doesn't he, Mario? Craggly says, well, that is a truly terrifying and intimidating castle. Nothing Flint Craggly can't handle. Flint Craggly enters the castle. Peach says, I suppose we should go in after him. Kaboom yells, "Wait for us, Mr. Cragley!" The trio enter Bowser's castle following after Flint Cragley. And Peach calls out, "Bowser, are you here?" And Bowser says, "Peach, is that you?" Peach says, "Yes, it is." And Kaboom replies, "Bowser, hello?" Bowser says, "Who are you? You don't look like one of my bob-ombs." "I'm Kaboom, sir." "Cragley ho! We found the missing person, but no danger." Bowser says, "Hey, you're that actor from that Cragnon place, right?" And Flint says, "None other than Flint Cragley." Bowser says, "So, you're going to help me out? That green dude attacked me again." Peach asks, "Fawful?" Kaboom asks, "Mario's green brother?" And Bowser says, "No, the other one. The dude from when we met the little alien guy in space, the one with the robot." Cragley says, "Who?" And Mr. L comes in. "So, we meet again, Mr. Jumping All the Time." Peach says, "Wait, Mr. L?" Mr. L says, "None other than the Green Thunder, Mr. L." Bowser says, "Shut it. We don't care. Mario, just battle him already and help me out." Mr. L says, "Oh, so we now have a Bob-omb and a Cragmouth joining the Princess and the Plumber, huh? You're a fun little team, won't stop at me. How about you?" Cragley says, "Stand back. Flint, Cragley, and Kaboom have got this." And Kaboom says, "Wow, this is my dream right now. Let's do this." Mr. L fights against Flint, Cragley, and Kaboom, and Mr. L is defeated. "Very good, yes. But you haven't met my new edition of my Metal Bro. Come to me, Metal Bro." Brobot 3.0 arrives. I don't think I got around to designing Brobot 3.0. Mr. L says, "Mario, Peach, you remember my dear metal brother Brobot? Well, now he's been upgraded." Cragley says, "Cragley ho! A giant metal face! How terrifying!" Peach says, "Mario, what do we do about your brother?" Kaboom says, "Your brother? Wait, Fawful brainwashed your green bro. This is him?" Peach says, "We encountered Mr. L a while back against Dementio before. Luigi is Mr. L." Cragley says, "What do we do about this giant metal head? We'll be cracked for sure." And then Bowser says, "Just hold him off for long enough. Bob-omb and Crag guy, come here and help me get free. Peach, super stupid Mario, keep him occupied." Robot 3.0 battle. Mario and Peach have to survive enough turns so that Bowser could be freed and burn Robot's energy source on his back. After that happens, Mr. L exclaims, "No, my Brobot!" And then Bowser says, "That'll teach you to mess with the king of the Koopas. I'll be back. Don't count me out yet. Later." Mr. L leaves. Bowser says, "See, without me you wouldn't get anywhere." Cragley says, "So, does the giant turtle dragon want to join us on our quest to defeat the Bean and the Jester?" Bowser adds, "I guess I could tag along. It would be fun to squish that annoying clown guy again. What's in it for me?" Peach says, "How about the satisfaction of doing the right thing?" And Bowser says, "Who cares about that?" Cragley says, "How about the satisfaction of adventure and action?" Bowser says, "Pfft, I get enough action and adventure every time I kidnap Peach and stomp Mario." Peach replies, "Excuse me, Mario always beats you. You've been giant, held powerful items, and been possessed by paint, and you still lose." Bowser responds, "Good point," and then briefly aside, he says, "Note to self, try shrinking. It'll surprise them." Kaboom says, "How about, because if Dementio and Fawful are teaming up, bad things will happen. We need your strength to stop them." Bowser says, "Okay then, since you're basically begging me to join. And who's this Fawful guy?" Kaboom says, "Oh, Fawful, he hails from the Bean Kingdom. He's an evil genius type. At least that's how it goes in the 3D world too." Peach asks, "The 3D world?" And Kaboom answers, "Yeah, it turns out this world and the 3D world are like parallel dimensions. Everything is the same, except over there, well, people are 3D. I'm currently apprenticed to a Bob-omb exploring a way to cross dimensions. We've observed a few events from their timeline. Things are similar over there, yet some events are different. The events with Count Black, Dementio, all of them haven't happened over there. And over there, Fawful was the main villain, forcing Bowser and Mario and Luigi to work together as the bros were inside Bowser, and also And then Bowser interrupts, "What? Mario and Luigi were inside me?" Kaboom responds, "Well, in the other universe, yes. And over there, you refer to Luigi as Green Stash. But prior to these events, the bros visited the Bean Kingdom where they fought Cackletta, an evil beanish witch, and Fawful, her most best pupil. And Cackletta also possessed Bowser, turning him into Bowletta. So Bowser, you were female for a while, but..." And then Bowser says, "Wow, I'm clearly better than 3D Bowser since he keeps getting possessed by people and stuff." Kaboom says, so, clearly our world has a 442, and he's here now, and he is definitely bad news. Bowser replies, okay, fine, I'm joining you. Just stop talking so much, okay? Kaboom says, yes, sir. Peach says, where do we go now? And Bowser says, I bet evil Green Stash, I mean Luigi probably went to find Dementio, and I bet Dementio went to take out Count Black. So let's go try Castle Black. Cragley rounds out the chapter saying, Cragley ho! Into the darkness of Castle Black. Stay tuned for more on Crag Vision. We are another chapter down. I think at some point after this live stream, I might do an edit of it and re-upload it with visuals of who's talking and what the setting is, whatever. So, it might make it a bit more fluid. Anyway, welcome to Chapter 3, Master of Dimensions. The scene changes to a Dementio and Forful scene. So again, different voices. Dementio starts. How's the progress on the Paragon hunt, Forful? No luck. I have located one of them. Ducris is a special type of duplighost. Wait, his name is Ducris. That's dumb. The name is full of stupid. Ah, but he is special. Ducris has the ability to take people's identities, trapping them in an alternate dimension until he resumes to normal form. He is the Paragon of Mischief. Where is this duplighost? Well, you see, Forful, I have already encountered this Ducris. That's the one who I sent to separate everyone from Toad Town. Paragon of Mischief, he will prove useful. We will all have chortles. Yes, the chortles. Keep up searching for Paragons. I have to go deal with some past issues. I shall end Blumiere's game, and I'm going to enjoy it. Forful is getting back to work. The scene returns to the group as they reappear at Toad Town, and Peach asks, so, which way to Castle Black? And Kaboom says, I saw a door to Flipside in the Mellow Plains, but the plains are Koopa territory. Some mean Koopas roam that place. And Bowser says, Koopas? Ha! I rule Koopas. I'm the Koopa King. They won't stop me. Cragley says, well, it's been settled. We should go to Flipside and then Castle Black. The group can go to the shops and Daisy's place, but must eventually make their way to the Mellow Plains. And then the Ninja Koopas come in. The black one comes in with, Hiya! Red Ninja Koopa says, forgot about us? Yellow Ninja Koopa says, Cowabunga! Green Ninja Koopa says, the Koopa Bros are back! Cragley says, Koopa Bros? Never heard of you. Black says, what? You've never heard of the Koopa Bros? Red says, never mind, Mario remembers us. Bowser asks, what are you lot doing? You served me, remember? Yellow says, we have no master. Bowser, you failed to defeat Mario, so you're no leader. Green says, the Koopa Bros have no master. Yellow says, I just said that. Green says, whatever. Anyway, we serve our own personal needs now. Red says, enough talk. Koopa Bros, attack! The Koopa Bros will fight any two allies. You've got like 5 people available now. Koopa Bros lose. Yellow says, cow, bummer, dude. Green says, this ain't over, man, and we're gonna get you. Black says, don't think it'll be so easy next time. And Red says, okay, Koopa Bros retreat. And they all say Koopa power, they sod off. And then we're back to continuing on to Flipside. So Bowser continues the script with, wow, I never realized how annoying those guys were. And Kaboom says, right then, let's go to Flipside. It's probably that giant white door over there. And Peach says, let's go there. Maybe we'll bump into Merlon again. So the group travel through to Flipside, and they find it's been completely destroyed and it's in ruins. But Merlon walks up and says hello. Oh, Mario and friends, thank goodness you're here. Peach asks, what happened here? Merlon says, Dementio came, along with some other friend, and destroyed this place. And then Kaboom says, this other friend, was he a short green guy with a cloak? And Merlon says, no, there was some other guy. A ghost, I think? Maybe just a guy wearing a bedsheet. Kaboom says, oh, that would be Chris. And Merlon says, Chris? Isn't Chris with Do on the front? Oh, that's a funny name. Anyway, Dementio came through here and destroyed everything, except for the way to the door to Castle Black. I don't know why, but he seems to have returned to Castle Black. Bowser asks, anything else open here? And Merlon says, Saffron's place is open, but the menu is rather limited, so if you want to cook anything up, feel free. Cragley asks, is anyone else in Castle Black? And Merlon says, I believe Count Black, or rather Blumiere, was there. I believe someone else also went looking for Blumiere earlier before Dementio. And Kaboom says, danger! Look up there, in the sky! So Dementio flies in Forful's four-flown car. It's a Koopa Clown car, but with Forful on it, four-flown. He rides on the four-flown car and starts dropping bombs, just bombs everywhere. So everyone runs inside Merlon's house. And Merlon says, oh, while we wait for the bombs to stop dropping, let's talk. I see some new faces here. Obviously, I know Mario, Peach, and Bowser, but who are these two? So little Corporal Kaboom says, I'm Kaboom. And Cragley says, I'm the famous Flint Cragley from the hit Cragvision show, Flint Cragley Crag Trotter. And Merlon says, a pleasure to make your acquaintance. It would seem that Dementio ceased his assault. You should go check out Castle Black and stop Dementio. Good luck, heroes. And there's a little optional side bit. You can go off to Sweet Smiles, where I mentioned earlier you can make the extra items by trading in some items. They cook them and turn them into something else. But then, Saffron gets a little line in there. She's like, hello there, sugar. Welcome to Sweet Smiles. Our dishes will turn that little frown right upside down. Just bring me an ingredient, sugar, and I'll whip up a dish guaranteed to satisfy. In fact, I'll give you the first one free with this mushroom. Saffron puts the mushroom in the oven. Done. Enjoy the yum sugar. Gives Mario and Co a roast shroom, which is why I made the roast shroom item, because I guess I needed that one. Yes, I'm still watching. Continue the music, thank you. The group then leave and they head to Flopside Tower and through to the Castle Black door. And Peach says, Castle Black, a lot has happened here. Bowser reminds her, yeah, we got married, remember, Peach? Peach also says, we got divorced, remember? Since I don't like you and our wedding almost ended every dimension in existence. And Bowser says, you'll come back. Kaboom says, this place is really, really, really dull. Everything here is black and white. And Cragley says, drink time, Cragley ho! Into the Castle of Darkness, a Flint Cragley, crag trotting adventure. They enter the castle. If you're just joining us, I'm reading the script that I wrote for Super Paper Mario 2. We're partway through Chapter 3 of 8. They enter the castle and Bowser says, hey, I recognize that girl over there. She's Black's secretary or something. Do Chris, as Anastasia, oh, hey, Mario and everyone else. I, came here for looking for the Count, so leave me alone, okay? Peach says, Anastasia, you know where Blumiere is? And Do Chris, as Anastasia, says, he's here somewhere, probably in that wedding room where Peach and Bowser got married. Peach asks, why does everybody remember that? And Bowser says, because it was the best wedding ever. Kaboom says, Anastasia, would you like to join us on our adventure? We're going to find Blumiere and stop Dementio. And Ducris, as Anastasia, says, why stop Dementio? He wants to make a perfect world. Bowser says, okay, you're not Anastasia. She would know Dementio betrayed Black, and since Anastasia likes Black, she'd never serve Dementio. And Ducris replies, wow, you're quite the detective, huh? Well, you're not going to stop Dementio, so give it up now, okay? Kaboom says, hey, Ducris, quit playing games with us. Ducris, as Anastasia, well, secret's out. I guess I'll just have to clear your minds. I'll just schedule that Bob-omb in for a quick brainwashing. She hypnotizes Kaboom. Now, how about we take care of these guys, huh, little Bob-omb? Kaboom replies, sure thing, miss, let's do this. So then Anastasia and Kaboom fight against two partners of your choice. And then once you defeat Anastasia and Kaboom, Anastasia returns to her original form and Kaboom becomes unhypnotized. And Ducris says, fine, gee, you beat me again. Why can't you people leave me alone? And Kaboom says, whoa, what happened to me? I kind of just blacked out for a while. Peach says, I thought you didn't serve nobody. What happened to that? Ducris says, well, Dementio gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, so I do some favors for him. You know, he helps me out, I help him. Kaboom says, where's Anastasia then? Ducris says, well, you see, when I take someone's form, powers, and life, they become invisible, trapped in one space in my own personal alternate dimension. They are frozen in one spot, so when I resume to this form, they reappear soon after in the same spot I left them in. Yeah, I know my powers are so cool, aren't they? Only catch, they can be seen in mirrors, which is how you found Peach in her castle. Anyway, my powers are so cool. Kaboom says, cooler than your stupid name. Chris says, shut up, my name is not stupid, leave me alone. Bowser says, Dupless, right? Yeah, that is a dumb name. And Chris says, no, I'm not Dupless, I'm Chris. And Bowser says, oh, well, in that case, Kaboom is right, that's an even dumber name. And Chris says, you jerks are so mean, leave me alone. And he runs away. And Peach says, well, that's sorted. And Bowser says, some crybaby. Kaboom says, so, where's the real Anastasia? Anastasia reappears slightly above the ground, falling onto the floor, standing up, shifts her glasses. And she says, okay, that was weird. Well, I'm here now. What's going on? And, where's Count Black? Kaboom says, Count Black? No, we're looking for Blumiere. Oh, he's Blumiere. Well, that's just great. Peach says, Anastasia, was there something between you and the Count? And Bowser says, well, duh. Anastasia says, no. He loves Timpani. That's fine. I am just Count Black's loyal minion. That's okay. Kaboom says, hi, Anastasia, I'm Kaboom. Would you like to join us on our quest? We're trying to find as many friends as we can to stop Dementio and Forful. And she says, sure, I'll help you. Dementio actually came through here chasing after Blumiere for revenge. I tried to stop Dementio, but he just got Chris to steal my identity. Cragley says, welcome to the crew. Now, back to adventure. Anastasia says, well, you probably remember the way through to the wedding room from last time you were here, so let's get going, okay? They walk through the rest of Super Paper Mario Level 8-4 into Count Black's inner sanctum. And Dementio is there. Took you long enough. I was starting to grow impatient, like a small child waiting in line for a broken down ride. Bowser says, shut up with your weird speaking way. Just shush. Kaboom says, Dementio, what are you doing with Forful? Dementio says, Forful? Well, we're going to take over this world. Why? Because we can. This kingdom is the perfect center for recreating all dimensions in our image. Forful just wants the Bean Kingdom for himself, and I'll take all the rest of the worlds for myself. Anastasia adds, Dementio, you betrayed Count Black. Why? Dementio says, if Black had his way, you'd all have ended games, so you're welcome. Also, he's Blumiere now, so stop acting like he's still Count Black, because he's not. Anastasia says, Dementio, you don't have to take over worlds. Just get this all up already, please. Dementio says, no, this is my time. The moment is at hand. Now, as for your new allies, snaps fingers and they all disappear. They can wait over in Dimension D whilst I deal with you. Our perfect world is within my grasp. I will have the last laugh. Anastasia says, Dementio, if I have to stop you, I will. Dementio says, well then, now we must fight, like two ruthless boxers over a shiny new title belt of world domination, holding back no punches. Anastasia versus Dementio. Anastasia wins. Dementio says, very good. You win this fight, but I'll return. Your prize? Here are your friends back. Snaps fingers, all the allies return. And now I take my leave. Ciao! Snaps fingers again and disappears. Bowser says, what happened whilst we were gone? Anastasia says, I just had to take care of Dementio, that was all. Now, let's go and find Blumiere. They enter the wedding room, they go up to the top of the stairs, and Blumiere is there. You're here. Sorry, I was keeping Dementio away from me, so I sealed the door until I could sense he was gone. Anastasia says, Count Black? Is that really you? I thought you were gone forever with her. Blumiere says, it's Blumiere now. Count Black truly is dead, and I am here now. Somehow I got separated from Timpani, but maybe you could help me find her, Anastasia. Anastasia replies, yeah, sure thing, Blumiere. Peach says, hey, Blumiere, nice to see you're okay. Bowser says, let's go back to Toad Town. I need to get some snacks and some rest. Kaboom says, then what do we do? Cragley says, I heard news of treasure in a place called Bone Dry Desert, residing in the Pyramid of Chunks. Blumiere suggests, let's head out there then. And Cragley rounds up the chapter again by saying, Cragley ho! Onward towards the driest desert in search of ancient treasures. A Flint Cragley crag-trotting adventure. Stay tuned for more, only on Crag Vision. I'm on chapter 4 and I need another drink because, wow, my throat is getting sore. My throat is getting sore. The ride. Yeah, bad, I know. Bad. Uh, Chapter 4. Pyramid of Chunks. Scene opens with Dementio, Forful, and Ducris. Three voices, they're quite distinct, you can probably work out. We'll start with Forful. Forful did it! Forful found more paragons! Who? The paragon of love. Timpani. This is too good. Blumiere's love. I guess there's more than one way to make Blumiere hurt. So, what do you want me to do? Nothing yet. Soon we will need you to intercept the group's attempts to defeat us. There's another paragon Forful has found. Flint Crackly, paragon of bravery! Ducris says, oh, don't worry about that guy. He's already with Mario's group. We'll get him later. So, we only have one paragon left to track down. So, what do we know about this last paragon? Nothing. Forful has no info on this last one, except what he is the paragon of. You gonna tell us? The paragon of evil. And that's not one of us. Forful is disappointed. I bet it's that Bowser dude. He's evil, right? He doesn't care about anyone. He kidnaps princesses. That sounds evil, right? Either way, let's just keep an eye on those paragons. The scene returns to the group returning to Toad Town. And Sniff, the shady Sniffit, says, psst, over here. The whole group walk over. Not all of you, just the Bob-on. Kaboom walks over towards Sniff, and Sniff says, hey, Bob-on. I'm Sniff. I'm a Sniffit. I have some pretty good deals on some surprises. What sort of surprises? Well, I have 3 boxes. One costs 250 coins. One costs 500 coins. And one costs 1,000 coins. Pick a box, and you get whatever's inside. Kaboom says, what sort of things could I win? And Sniff says, well, there were 2 really good items, but 1 terrible item. Good luck. I'll give you a little discount for your first try. Whichever box you choose is 100 coins cheaper than you would normally pay, just for this one try. A player can buy a box if they want to, and Sniff will say, good choice. You obtained a nice cooking mistake. Enjoy. Yeah, that gives you like 1 HP. Kaboom walks back over to the group, and Bowser says, what was that about? And Kaboom says, just some shady Sniffit selling stuff. Blumiere adds, okay, so Bone Dry Desert, where is it? Flint? Cragley says, Bone Dry Desert is northwest of Toad Town. Kaboom says, Cragley ho, onto the dry desert of doom. And Cragley says, you're starting to get the hang of this adventuring business. The group go over to Bone Dry Dunes, and Peach says, wow, it is very dry here, and really warm. Bowser says, I'm sweating my shell off here. Blumiere says, maybe we should find somewhere to cool off. Anastasia, Mimi sent me a message not too long ago about a town north of here she is residing in. Maybe a good place to start. Kaboom says, Bone Dry Town Center, here we come. They head north to the Bone Dry Town Center, and Mimi's there, and she says, hi, big welcome. I'm Mimi, but most of you already knew that. Kaboom says, hi, Mimi, I'm Kaboom. Mimi says, well, hello, aren't you a cute little bob-omb? Blumiere says, Mimi, have you seen Timpani anywhere? And Mimi says, oh, hey, Count, nice to see you. Anastasia says, this is Blumiere, not Count Black. Mimi says, nice to see you too, Nessie. Anyway, I do know where Timpani can be found, I think. Blumiere says, you think? Then, Mimi says, is she a human with a butterfly in her hair like that butterfly you love? And Blumiere says, yes, she is that butterfly. So where is she? Mimi says, yeah, she's inside the pyramid of chunks somewhere. Dementio took her in there along with someone else. I just heard the other guy yelling about vegetables, and then they were gone. I'd be careful in there, though. Some dragon creature guards the treasures of that place. Cragley says, so there is treasure. Wow. Now I'm very excited to get into that pyramid. Mimi continues, if you need to rest, there are some great places around this town. Oh, and there's a special guest around here who knows a lot about digital butterflies and everything, really. And so Kaboom says, okay, let's go see him then. He might know some tips for the pyramid. This is killing my throat. God damn. Riveting content, I know. So the group go around and they enter Francis's home. And Francis is in there, you remember from chapter 3, 4 on Super Paper Mario. And he's like, "Nah, who disturbs me?" He's Peter Griffin, apparently. Peach says, "Hello?" And Francis says, "Hot babe in room. You remember me, right? I certainly remember you." Bowser says, "Oh boy, it's this creep again." Francis says, "Wait, you people also destroyed my one and only copy of the sweet swoon.exe. Get out now." Anastasia says, "Well, I don't know you, so how about you talk to me, okay?" Francis says, "Another even hotter babe in room." Anastasia says, "Watch it. I never cared about one person, and he doesn't exist anymore, so don't try anything with me, okay? Or I'll have to erase your memories with my hypno powers." Francis says, "Wow, you're so mean. That's kind of attractive." He's got the Peter Griffin laugh. Anastasia says, "So, now, tell me everything I need to know about the Pyramid of Chunks, okay?" Francis says, "Nah, okay. Anything for a girl like you." Bowser says, "This guy really is a creep." Francis says, "You need 3 orbs to access the deepest part of the pyramid." Nah. Anastasia says, "Is that it?" Francis says, "There's more." Anastasia says, "So, you going to tell me now or what?" Francis says, "I'll tell you more if you agree to go on a date with me." Lumiere says, "Anastasia, you don't have to do this." Anastasia says, "Sure, I'll do it. Just tell me what we need to know, okay?" Francis says, "Sweet! I got a date with a hot girl. Okay, so the monster who resides in the deepest part of the pyramid has a weakness. He has a weak underbelly, which, when exposed, is susceptible to explosions and fire attacks and such." Anastasia says, "Thank you. Now, could you just look at my glasses just for a moment, okay?" Anastasia wipes Francis's recent memories. Francis says, "Who are you people? Nah." Anastasia says, "My name is Anastasia. Tell me, what's the last thing you remember?" Francis says, "I was sitting on my computer discussing things on digibutter.ner, and then I heard a knocking. Next thing I know, you're all standing in my room." Anastasia says, "So, you don't remember any conversation between you and me?" Francis says, "I would remember if I'd spoken to a hot babe like you." Anastasia says, "Ugh, well, that's all. We're just going to leave now, okay?" Francis says, "No, please don't leave. Stay." Bowser says, "Dude, you're a real creep. You know that, right?" And Francis says, "Ner, leave me alone." Bowser says, "Whatever. Later, loser." The group leave Francis's place. Bowser says, "Nice work, Glasses. No way would you want to go on a date with that guy." Anastasia said, "I wish I could make myself forget that too. It felt disloyal." And Peach says, "To Black?" Lumiere says, "Black is gone, I assure you. I'm sorry, Anastasia, but you knew you could never be with him." Kaboom interrupts very abruptly and says, "Let's get back to the adventure." And Cragley says, "Spoken like a true adventurer. Cragley ho!" The group go out to the Bone Dry Desert, they reach the Pyramid of Chunks, and they enter the pyramid. And Cragley says, "Into the dark pyramid of terror, a Flint, Cragley, and Kaboom crack-trotting adventure." And Kaboom fanboys, and he says, "Oh my gosh, you said my name in the title. We're Explorer Buddies!" Bowser says, what is this? It's a room with no doors." The door they entered shuts, and Peach asks, "What do we do?" Kaboom says, "Hey, Mario, check this out. The light on this mirror. If you reflect on those other mirrors by turning them, something might happen." Anastasia says, "Mario, there's some writing here. It says, when light enters the mouth of the beast, the way will be revealed for all to see." So Lumiere says, "Try turning some of these mirrors and reflecting the light into that hole above the writing." So Mario then has to hit the mirrors with his hammer to turn them. This is just kind of a basic puzzle. It opens the entrance door and the door into another room. So the group enter and they walk through into the next room. Dementio was there. "Well, credit's where it's due. I didn't think you'd make it this far. I'm not talking about that puzzle room, of course. That room was so easy. Any child could have completed it without giving it much thought. But your game is over now. I have a tough opponent for you. Come introduce yourself, friend. Oh, Cabbage runs in. Cabbage! Dementio says, this is O Cabbage, the light prognosticus heroes might remember him. He will chunk you. Good luck, heroes. I will be taking my leave now. Ciao. Dementio leaves, and O Cabbage yells, Asparagus! Nastasia says, Oh, Chunks, what happened? Lumiere says, Oh, Chunks, snap out of it. Oh, Cabbage yells, Broccoli! Oh, Cabbage fight, and Oh, Cabbage is defeated. And Oh, Chunks says, what happened to me? Nastasia says, Oh, Chunks, are you feeling better now? Oh, Chunks says, Nasi, how are ya, wee lass? Lumiere says, Oh, Chunks, haven't you seen Timpani anywhere? Oh, Chunks says, yeah, she be in the deepest part of this pyramid. And then Kaboom says, Hey, Oh, Chunks, my name is Kaboom. Do you want to join our party to stop Dementio and Forful? And Oh, Chunks says, Dementio is back. Well, I ought to help you out then, eh? Yeah, I'm not going to try and keep that one up, not going to lie. My throat's cooked as it is, let alone trying to do whatever the hell that attempt at a Scottish Shrek accent was. Blumia says, Hey, Oh, Chunks, long time no see. And Oh, Chunks says, Gra googly hey hurrah, Blecky boy is back. And Blumir says, Oh, Chunks, do you wish to join me on my search for Timpani and revenge against Dementio? No, Chunks says, I'd follow you anywhere, Count. Let's go already. We got a jester to chunk. Oh, Chunks joins the group and they venture deeper into the pyramid. Nastasia says, Hey, Count, Blumir. Remember what Francis said about 3 orbs to access the deepest part of the pyramid? Well, I found 3 holes on the floor here that might fit those orbs, so now we just need to find the orbs, okay? Kaboom says, So, which way do we go? Left, right, or forward? Peach says, Maybe we should split up and search for different rooms. And Crackly says, Okay, I'll take Kaboom down the right path. Blumir says, Nastasia, oh Chunks, join me down the left path. So Peach says, So I guess Bowser, Mario, and I will go down the forward path then. Nastasia says, Actually, Blumir, I'd like to stay here and protect the entrance if that's okay with you. Blumir says, Okay, Nastasia, be safe. Peach says, Maybe I should stay with her. And Bowser says, What? And leave me with Mario? Why? How about Mario stays and Peach comes with me? Peach says, Nope, not going with you. Mario and I will go. Bowser, stay here and look after Nastasia. Bye. Each duo goes down their separate routes, leaving Bowser and Nastasia behind. Bowser says, Well, I guess I'm staying here then. So the camera zooms out and it goes through the forward door with Peach and Mario. And so Peach says, Hey, Mario. We're getting so many allies now. I really hope Timpani is okay. Mario, I wonder who else is going to join us and who else we will bump into. Then a Spike says, Hey, Mario! And Peach, too. Listen, I don't really want to do this, but Lord Forful asked me to stop you from getting this orb. Peach says, Don't you serve Bowser? He's here too. He's with us back in the previous room. And Spike says, Nah, sorry. I serve Forful. Prepare to be halted in your tracks. Spike Pack, attack! 5 more spikes come out and they attack Peach and Mario, starting a battle. Mario and Peach will win this battle. And Peach says, Well, they've been dealt with. Let's get that orb. The scene cuts back to Nastasia and Bowser says, I can't believe they just left me here like that. I'm King Bowser Koopa. I should be out there beating up bad guys and such. Nastasia begins to cry softly, and Bowser says, Hey, Glasses, you okay? Nastasia starts crying a bit more, and Bowser says, Come on, don't cry. You wouldn't want the others to see you like this. So Chunks, Peach, super stupid Mario, Craggly, Blumiere. Nastasia cries a lot more now, and Bowser says, Please stop. Nastasia says, I'm sorry. And Bowser says, What's wrong? Nastasia says, Well, it's just Blumiere. The scene cuts to the left room with Blumiere and O-Chunks. O-Chunks says, So, you're a Blumiere now, right? And Blumiere says, Yes, the man known as Count Black died along with the Chaos Heart. I am Blumiere once again. O-Chunks says, So, how did you lose your Timpani? Blumiere says, Mario and Luigi went to check out where Dementio was being held when we were jumped by this ghost guy called Ducris. And O-Chunks says, Ducris, eh? I've never heard such a silly name. Blumiere says, Yes, I'll never hear you say that, though. He gets very annoyed by that. Anyway, Dementio's teaming with some Forful guy. A dry bones appears and says "Ratat rattle," and the subtitles are, "Hey, we're supposed to stop you from getting this orb. Lord 44 demands it." And Blumier says, "I get the feeling we need to fight these creatures." And Ochunk says, "It's chunking time." And then Ochunks and Blumier fight 6 dry bones and win. Ochunk says, "Barely even broken a sweat. How about you, Count?" Blumier says, "Not too tough." Ochunk says, "Something bugging you, eh, Count?" And Blumier responds, "Just wondering how Nastasia is, that's all." The scene cuts back to Nastasia and Bowser. And Nastasia's talking and she says, I just wanted to be with him. But he was so caught up in his plans. Trying to find Timpani consumed his life first, and then his rage when he couldn't find her. He knew how I felt and dismissed it. I knew she was special to him, so I pushed my feelings from his side. Now Count Black is gone and Blumier remains. The Blumier who loves Timpani. So Bowser replies, keep your chin up, glasses. He'll be back soon, and you don't want him to see you like this. Anastasia says, I just want Count Black back. I just want to see the man I love. Bowser tentatively puts an arm around Anastasia as she leans her head on him. And Bowser says, It's okay. I understand how it feels to like someone who doesn't reciprocate. Ask Peach. Anastasia says, Thank you, Bowser. She stands up, wipes her tears, adjusts her glasses, and says, Just don't tell Blumier about this, please. And Bowser says, Well, as long as you don't tell anyone about this, I won't. I don't want super stupid Mario thinking I'm going soft, being all emotional and kind like this. The scene enters the right path with Cragley and Kaboom. Cragley says, Hey Kaboom, after this adventure is all done with, do you want to join me on my show and go adventuring together? And Kaboom says, Oh my gosh, that would be great. I've always wanted to go on adventures. And Cragley says, You'll make a great explorer, kid. And then a Boo turns up and says, Hey, I'm sorry, but we've got to stop you from getting this orb, so just don't fight too hard, please. We're all kind of tired. We've been up all night. Kaboom says, So, I know what you're going to say. So, you know I know. So, let's say it together, huh? And then Kaboom and Cragley both say, Cragley ho! Kaboom and Cragley fight 6 boos and win. And speaking of boos, I'll have another quick sip of beer. Cragley says, 6 terrifying boos are no match for Flint, Cragley, and Kaboom. Scene cuts back to everyone re-arriving at the center, but Anastasia and Bowser are missing. Ochunk says, Hey, where's Anastasia and the big turtle guy? And Peach says they're gone. Bowser says, We're not gone, look up here, fools. Bowser and Anastasia are trapped on the ceiling in a scuttlebug web. Cragley says, Spiders, eat! Kaboom says, You're afraid of spiders? And Bowser says, Just hurry up and end those spiders already, gah! Fight against 6 scuttlebugs, pick your ally out of the, 6 you have available there. Scuttlebug webs disappear, Bowser and Anastasia fall onto ground. Anastasia says, Thanks for the save. Let's use the orbs and go, okay? They place the 3 orbs in the holes and the door in the ground opens, revealing stairs into the deepest part of the pyramid full of gold. Timpani says, Blumier? Blumier says, Timpani. And Cragley says, Gold! Timpani says, Blumier, look out! The Sando Dragon awakes. You know that dragon I showed you earlier that made the concept of? The Sando Dragon is here. No Chunk says, What are we going to do? Kaboom says, Remember what Francis said? Maybe I should be in this battle. O-Chunk says, Let me chunk this beastie too. Blumier says, Go ahead, O-Chunks. So you have O-Chunks and Kaboom versus the Sando Dragon. O-Chunks has to use his flip move to flip the Sando Dragon over, and then Kaboom has to bomb his underbelly to do more damage. This piece of music playing was composed by me, actually. I made that. Although I think this is the edited version that Dementor 21 helped edit, but the initial composition is mine. It reappears later. Sando Dragon is defeated. Blumier says Timpani. Timpani says Blumier, and Cragley, picking up gold, yells, Gold! Oh, Chunks yells, Oh, Chunks! I took that weird dragon thing down with the help of this wee bob-on fella. And Blumier says, Timpani, are you okay? What happened? Timpani says, Oh, I'm okay, Blumier. I'm just glad you are fine too. I was so worried. Anastasia starts to look down, feeling sad, which Bowser notices, and Bowser says, Come on, knock it off, you two. Peach says, well, it's nice to see you're okay, Timpani. Kaboom says, hey, Timpani, I'm Kaboom. Would you like to join us on our quest to defeat Dementio and Forful? And Timpani replies, I'll go wherever Blumiere is going. I'm in. Chunk says, where are we going next? Cragley says, I did some map study and it would seem that Forful may have gone to town with his next hiding place. Ice Town. Timpani says, ooh, an ice town. That sounds exciting. I'd love to accompany you. Let's go. Cragley says, finishing the chapter, Cragley ho! Into the town of slippery, dangerous ice. A Flinch Cragley Cragtrunk adventure. Keep watching us on Cragvision to find out what happens next in this grand adventure. Stay tuned. Gang, we're halfway there. And Ice Town has just started playing. Chapter 5, Ice Town. Scene opens on Dementio and Ducris. Ducris says, where's Forful at? And Dementio says, he went with Mr. L to inspect our paragons at the Ice Castle. Any news on the last paragon? It's an elusive one, but I believe he might be in the Deadwood Forest. Well, I'm going to go find him. See you later. Ciao. Ducris leaves. Yes. Soon Forful and Ducris will have rounded up the paragons. Then I, the Master of Dimensions and Pleaser of Crowds, will control everything. Then I shall have my perfect worlds, of which I will be king. Scene returns to the group in Toad Town. Peach says, it doesn't seem like we could possibly have more allies. There's so many of us now. Bowser says, yeah, that Bing guy and that Jester guy stand no chance. Blumia says, we're all finally together again. Timpani says, and we're all safe again. Kaboom says, but where are we going to find Forful and Dementio? Nastasia says, I think Ducris is still running around somewhere. Cragley, so are we going to the Ice Town? Oh, Chunks, yeah, let's get that Forful and Dementio. The group goes to the Mellow Plains and they're jumped once again by the Ninja Koopas. Yellow, guess who's back? Green, Ninja time. Black, the Koopa Bros have returned. Red, you thought you could get rid of us, huh, Mario? Well, we're back and we're finally going to defeat you. Bowser, you fools again? Gah, why can't you just go away? Yellow, you've got no chance now. Green, we're going to show you the true power of the Koopa Bros. Black, now time to fight. Red, Koopa power. Fight against the Koopa Bros again, which you win. Yellow says, oh, hey, what gives? You can't beat us like that. And Green says, that's not fair. Black says, that's it, we're retiring. Getting beat is fine once, but this many times, come on. Red says, hey, you win this time, but mark my words, this isn't the last time you'll see the Koopa Bros. And then they all say, Koopa power, and they leave. They run away. Bowser says, still losers. Pathetic. Lumiere. So, Ice Town, anyone? Nastasia? Yeah, we should go there. They go into Ice Town, and they're meted by Jeff the Goomba, and Jeff says, hey, hello, hi. Yeah, we're just having some issues. Help us out. We're just cone-loving Goombas. This is bogus, dudes. Goomba Luigi says, yeah, help us, dudes. Our little Ice Town is being attacked by Fire Bros. They're totally melting our ice. Bowser says, who are you Goombas anyway? I don't recall training you in my Koopa troops. And Jeff says, this is my bro Goomba Luigi, and meanwhile I'm... Kaboom says, Goombario? And Jeff said, nope, my name's Jeff. Nice to meet you. However, we got bigger fish to fry. Those Fire Bros are mean. They've spread out around our town. I'd say we got about 10 minutes before the ice here melts and we all go under. So Timpani says, we'd be happy to help you, Jeff and Goomba Luigi. Where are they? Goomba Luigi says, there are about 5 of them dotted around this place. Please hurry. Catch you later, dudes. The gang has 10 minutes to defeat the 5 Fire Bros or else game over. Restart from the entrance. Goomba Luigi says, most excellent. Thank you so much. We cold Goombas can never stand up to those hothead Fire Bros. And Jeff says, yeah, thanks. I hear you want to go to Ice Castle to find Forful. If you want to go there, you'll need some keys to get through the front gate. Lucky for us, our town leaders have got those keys. Goomba Luigi says, yeah, and the 2 key holders are Goom Peach and... Kaboom says, Goom Daisy? And Jeff says, nope. Old Goomba Pierce. Bowser says, wow, didn't see that coming. And Jeff says, yeah, anyway, they both have keys. One lives on the east and one on the west. Goomba Luigi says, oh, and if you need items, Goomboshi runs an item shop up north. Timpani says, thank you both so much. Jeff says, you're welcome. You should probably head to Goom Peach first. Good luck, adventurers. So the group go west to visit Goom Peach, and Goom Peach says, oh, hello, I'm Goom Peach. How can I help you? Peach says, nice to meet you, I'm Peach. And Goom Peach says, oh, wow, I'm a big fan. It's so nice to meet you. Bowser says, okay, give us your key to the ice castle so we can beat Forful. And Goon Peach says, oh, is that what you're here for? Okay, I'll give you the key, but you'll also need the other key from old Goomba Pierce. Tiffany says, thank you. And Goon Peach says, oh, Peach, one thing before you go. Do you like my outfit? And Peach says, of course. Goon Peach says, yay! Here, take a free mushroom. Good luck out there. They leave, they go east, only to be distracted by a Goomba from the north. And Goomboshi says, hey, you! Yeah, you! The little Bob-omb! Over here! Kaboom says, me? Goomboshi says, yeah, listen, I have an item store up north, and we got some great deals. Kaboom says, that sounds cool. Goomboshi says, yeah, but here's the thing. I love Bob-ombs! They're my favorite thing in the world. I follow the adventures of all Bob-ombs. Bombette, Admiral Bobbery, Bobby the Bob-omb, and of course the famous Kaboom. Kaboom says, you've heard of me? Goomboshi says, of course, I'm your #1 fan. So for you only, I'll sell my items half price. Sound good? Kaboom says, that's amazing, thank you. Goomboshi says, allow me to show you my inventory. The scene switches to inside Goomboshi's shop, and he says, I've got flowers and mushrooms galore. Plus, I've got some real fancy one-up mushrooms you can't get anywhere else. These one-ups revive both party members automatically if you both get knocked out. Sound good? You can buy items if you want, otherwise, leave, head to old Goomba Pierce's house in the east. And old Goomba Pierce says, who was that? Who's that? Was it? Who's there? Old Chunk says, hello, wee Goomba. I be Old Chunks, enforcer for the most debonair man o' man, can't black yourself. And Pierce says, oh, Chunk, eh? Weird name. What do you people want? Lumiere says, we need a key to get into the ice castle. And Pierce says, a key for the ice castle? What on earth is that? Nastasia says, okay, Pierce, my name is Nastasia. Listen, we need a key for a gate. You have that key? Pierce says, gate key. That reminds me of this time back in my day when I was out and I met some really nice... Nastasia says, Pierce, the key, please. Pierce says, you know, you remind me of a girl I once courted back in 1957. And Cragley says, crag me. What the hell? Go compare Abbott changed. So then Nastasia says, Pierce, please give us the key. And Pierce says, the tea? Oh, yes, I have the finest tea this side of Toad Town. Nastasia yells, just give us the key. And Bowser says, whoa, just chill out a bit, Glasses. Blumia says, that's very unlike you, Nastasia. Are you okay? Nastasia says, no, I'm not. Why would I be okay? What is okay about all of this? Nastasia runs away. And Timpani says, sorry about her, Pierce. I'm not sure what is going on with her, but she seems stressed. Do you have that gate key? And Pierce says, oh, yes, I do. Just let me get that from up... I can't reach it. It's in that box up there. And Bowser says, I got this. Bowser fetches box. This is why you need a big, strong, large, cool Koopa like me. And Peach goes, ugh. Pierce says, thanks, but now I have to try to remember the code. There's a 1 in there somewhere. Cragley says, the safety box of impossible passcodes. Flint, Cragley, Crag-trotting adventure. Kaboom says, I bet he just made it 1, 2, 3, 4 or something. And Bowser says, wow, I'm not waiting for this. I'm going to wait outside. Bowser leaves. Peach says, Mario, any ideas? The player is prompted to press A, and Mario jumps on Pierce. Pierce goes, ow, hey, what did you do that for? Oh, wait, the passcode, it's 1478. Pierce opens the box. Here's the key. Go beat whoever it is you're after. The remaining group members leave the house. Cragley says, with 2 keys obtained, we venture closer to the end as we track down Forful. Kaboom says, has anyone seen Bowser? And Blumia says, and where did Nastasia go? The scene changes to Nastasia and Bowser behind the store. Bowser says, hey, Glasses, cheer up a bit. This adventure will be over soon enough, and then I can go back to being bad, and you won't have to see Blumia ever again. Nastasia says, now I understand how Blumia felt when he became Count Black after losing Timpani. Bowser jokes, please don't become Countess Nasty and try to destroy the world. That void stuff was enough the one time, so don't put me through that again. Working with Mario is hard enough. Nastasia says, I'm sorry, I won't do that, don't worry. Bowser says, Hey, if you cheer up and return to the group, I'll let you join my ranks after all this is done, if you wish. How does that sound, General Anastasia? Anastasia says, that sounds good. Let me get back to the group. Suddenly, Bowser and Anastasia are jumped by 3 Ice Bros who they defeat. Bowser says, well, you would make an excellent general for the Koopa troops. Anastasia says, thanks, Bowser. You're not all bad, really. Now, let's get back to the group, okay? And Bowser says, okay. The scene changes back to the group, and Timpani says, Anastasia did seem pretty upset, and Peach said, odd for Bowser to disappear too. He's not usually hard to find, what with his loud voice and giant shell. Anastasia and Bowser return, and Bowser says, what was that about my shell? Kaboom says, hey, Bowser and Anastasia are back. Anastasia says, yeah, I'm sorry about all that back there. But Bowser and I had a talk, and we fought some icebergs. Now I'm feeling better. Lumiere says, I'm glad you're okay. We do worry about you when you're alone, Anastasia. Anastasia says, it's fine, I wasn't alone. Bowser was there. Bowser says, okay, enough talk. Now for a full beatdown. The group go to the castle gate and open the door. Forful, waiting inside, says, Farfel has been waiting for you. Farfel began to grow the impatience. Bowser says, shut your mouth. Now you will get pummeled. Forful says, I have totals. Farfel, an answer to your petty group. You will fail like a collective answer against a fiercely ravenous aardvark. And Ochunks goes, geh. I don't get it. Lumiere says, aardvarks eat ants, Ochunks. Aardvarks eat ants. And Ochunks goes, guh. What's an ant? Forful says, silence, fink rats. Forful is having boredom. But watch as Forful's secret weapon takes you down a road of pain to the underwear. Enter Mr. L. Mr. L says, hey, forgot about me, huh? Well, I'm back, and I'm Lord Forful's secret weapon. I'm not finished with you yet. Kaboom says, Mario, it's your green brainwashed brother. Peach says, Luigi, snap out of this. You're not Mr. L. Mr. L says, who is this Luigi? I'm Mr. L, the Green Thunder. I'm going to end your games. How about you? Forful says, our plan is a sundae of evil and deliciousness, and this battle is a cherry on top, a cherry of your doom. Bowser says, that was a weird analogy. Kaboom says, I believe in the 3D world the sundae is a sandwich and the cherry of doom is actually mustard of doom. Bowser says, mustard of doom sounds better. Forful says, silence, fink rats! Battle time! Then you battle against Mr. L and Forful. Forful must be defeated. If Mr. L is defeated, Forful will revive him. So KO Mr. L after Forful is defeated to win the battle. And Forful goes, Fury. Mr. L goes, hey, that's not fair, you can't do this. Forful says, well, Mr. L had failure, so Forful has no need for you. He zaps Mr. L with some sort of laser gun. And he turns back into Luigi, and Luigi goes, what? What? Where am I? Oh, hey, bro, how's it going? Forful says, goodbye. Forful will be returning soon. Forful flies away on his little hoverboard thing. And Luigi says, oh, Forful, right. Right. Who was that? And I don't think I know all of you. Peach says, well, Mario and Bowser here, along with me. Also, Blumia, Timpani, Anastasia, and Ochunks are here. Kaboom walks up and says, we haven't met before. I'm Kaboom, and this is Flint Cragley. And Cragley says, Cragley ho. Cragley ho. And Bowser says, we met Flint when you were busy being Mr. L the first time. And Luigi says, who's Mr. L? Kaboom says, okay, I'll catch you up on the story so far. Just wait for the scene to fade out and then fade back in at the end of my story. The scene fades out and then back in. And Kaboom says, and here you are. Luigi says, oh, what did you mean by that scene thing? What was that, Mario? Kaboom thinks this is a game or a movie or something? Very funny. This is real life, dude. Bowser says, just let him enjoy his fake reality, okay? Oh, and if he refers to a player, he's talking about some person controlling our moves, so just ignore that. Kaboom says, I feel like this is the end of the chapter, but that battle felt a little too easy, maybe? Maybe a mini-boss level. Luigi says, so I'm joining your team. So, where to now? Kaboom says, well, there's one more way we haven't gone yet. And Cragley says, through Deadwood Forest. And Timpani says, ooh, sounds spooky. Kaboom says, we're probably going to bump into Ducris again there. A Duple ghost in Deadwood Forest? Seems likely. Luigi says, who's that Ducris guy? Is that guy Mario told me about from his 1000-Year Door adventure? Bowser says, don't call him Dupless, because that will annoy him very much. It's Ducris. Luigi says, that's a stupid name. Why would he be called Chris with Do on the front? Blumia says, don't put much thought to it. He's relatively tough, to be fair. Luigi says, what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. I'm ready to spring into action. Scene fades out, and then back in on Toad Town southeast at the entrance of Deadwood Forest. Luigi says, here we go. Deadwood Forest. I am not scared. Yet. Bowser says, don't whip out yet, Green Stash. Luigi says, Green Stash? Bowser says, it's nothing. Kaboom goes, never mind, it's better you don't know. Blumia says, let's go. So they enter the forest, and they are immediately countered by multiple duplicate ghosts. And Ochunk says, they all be looking the same. Ducris says, hey there, remember me? Well, I'm back. It's time to get this battle started. I'm here with all my dupla bros, and we're going to show you what it's like to lose to you. So the dupla ghosts then copy the shapes of all of the party members except Mario. And then Ducris says, and I'll take Mario for myself. See you later, Slick. So Ducris becomes Mario, and Mario disappears somewhere in another dimension. And Ducris as Mario goes, woohoo, let's go. And Bowser says, wow, terrible impression. Luigi says, who are you people? Ducris as Mario says, it's me, Mario. Peach says, you're not fooling anyone, Ducris. Then Dupla Peach says, you're not fooling anyone, Ducris. Bowser says, whoa, what was that? And Dupla Bowser says, whoa, what was that? Nastasia says, I'm going to have to ask you all to stop copying us, okay? And Dupla Anastasia says, I'm going to have to ask you all to stop copying us, okay? And Ducris, as Mario says, let's fight! Peach and Luigi battle against their Dupla Ghost counterparts, Blumia and Timpani against theirs, and Stasia and O-Chunks against theirs, Flint, Cragley, and Kaboom against theirs, and then Bowser alone has to fight Dupla Bowser and Ducris as Mario. And then Ducris says, please stop beating me up. I'm just following orders, you see. Dementio got me searching for these Paragons, and you've got a few of them in your group, so I was deployed to get you in the event of Fawful failing, which he clearly did. And Timpani says, well, there's no use fighting us anymore. Maybe try not being bad? And Ducris says, fine, I'll stop being bad, but if you ever cross my path again, I can't promise I won't get the urge to shapeshift again. Peach says, so where's Mario? And Ducris says, Dupla crew, disperse! The Dupla Ghosts and Ducris retreat and run away. Mario reappears slightly above ground and drops down. Bowser says, at least a super stupid Mario is better than a fake super stupid Ducris wannabe Mario. And Luigi says, you know, Bowser, I don't think Mario appreciates you calling super stupid Mario all the time. Bowser says, do I look like I care? Blumia says, anyway, they've been defeated, so let's venture deeper into this forest. Kaboom says, but we normally go back to Toad Town at the end of the chapter. And Cragley says, deeper into the dark forest of doom, a Cragley and Co. crag-trotting adventure. Scene fades out. Chapter 6, The Brothers of Destruction. Scene opens on Dementio with a defeated Fawful. There were too many of them, not even Fawful could stop them. And we lost to Ducris. What do we do now? Fawful has located the final Paragon, and I think rats are headed for him right now. Show me. Here, look at what Fawful is displaying on his screen. Wow, okay, I did not expect that. Definitely the Paragon of Evil. We need him on the side of us. Yes, let's go meet this Paragon of Evil. The scene changes to Deadwood Forest, and Cragley, reading a signpost, says, this way to Gloomy Forest. Sounds exciting. More adventure for us. Kaboom says, this is when the adventure starts getting serious, right? Luigi says, oh great, a spooky jungle right when I join the team, of course. The group enters the forest to find a maze. O-Chunk says, mazes, I'm no good at these tricky puzzles. Nastasia says, personally, I think the best way to go is straight on. Straight on is the fastest way to get from start to finish. Call it Nastasia logic. Cragley says, I think we should head right. Call it my adventurous sense. Luigi says, I got a funny feeling about going left. We should go that way. Call it a Luigi look. Peach says, what should we do, Mario? You can pick a direction, doesn't matter. Blumia says, I'll see you on the other side. Blumia holds Timpani's hand and glides over the maze. Blumia, as exiting, go straight on! Blumia and Timpani are on the other side of the maze. And Kaboom says, Blumia said to go straight on, should we? Bowser says, I think you're forgetting the most obvious route. Peach says, and what idea is that, Bowser? Bowser says, obviously Nastasia is right. We go straight on, through the bushes. Allow me to clear the path. Bowser spits fire on the bushes. However, the entire forest sets on fire. Bowser says, I just presumed it would burn a path through the bushes. Peach says, you set the whole forest on fire. Cragley says, kaboom. I think some of that fire landed on your fuse. Kaboom says, oh no, not again. Kaboom explodes, waking up a nearby mega piranha plant. Kaboom says, oh, that was not good. Cragley says, well, I guess we should continue onwards now, right? Anastasia says, Cragley, don't get scared, but as Cragley talks, the mega piranha plant rises behind him. And Cragley says, scared? Me? Ha! Flea Cragley, scared of nothing. Kaboom says, but what about Spite? And Cragley interrupts and says, shush, Cragley is scared of nothing. Anastasia says, yeah, but you got a little problem behind you. And Cragley says, nothing is a problem for Flink Cragley. No Chunks says, there's a great plant behind you. Cragley turns around and Cragley says, oh, Crag. Fight against the Mega Piranha Plant. After you defeat him, Timpani comes back and says, hey, is everyone okay? Blumia says, we came back as fast as we could when we saw the forest go up in flames. Cragley says, no problem, too great. For Flint, Cragley, and he falls onto the floor. Peach says, he's been through a lot today, I guess. Bowser said, yeah, sorry about that with the flames and burning and such. Kaboom says, well, back to adventure. It can't be too much further until we've explored the entire kingdom. So then they venture into the dreary darkness. What do I have? Then we enter the dreary darkness, and Timpani says, it's so much darker here. Lumia says, I can't see much here. Bowser, should I light the place up? Peach says, no! Luigi says, so how do we get around here? Paths light up with little flames to illuminate the darkness. Anastasia notes, there's a house over there. Maybe we should go there. They go into that house, and they meet someone new. This is where we get one of our new characters that I've been keeping to myself. So they enter the house, and they meet this guy, Cardot. This is an original character. As you can see, he's a bit damaged. But yes, this is an original character. There's another character similar to him. I designed a concept, and Space Lobster helped me create the final forms of these two characters. I will show you more later when we meet the other one. So Cardot says, greetings, welcome to the dreary darkness. Timpani says, are you okay? You look hurt. Lumia says, and who are you? Cardot says, I am Cardot, and yes, I'm hurt. Since my last encounter with my brother Dactor, I've been pretty badly wounded. And Luigi asks, and who's this Dactor person? So here's Dactor. Yeah, that's him. The concept art. This was my concept art. I had like a vague idea. I wanted this body, I wanted the arms and legs, the head, the exposed heart in the middle. It was a vague concept. This is far better. Additionally, there's some more sprites of Dactor I could show you later in another of Cardot, but I'll show them when we get there. So Cardot replies, Dactor, better known as the Paragon of Evil, is my brother. The two of us are the last of our kind. Our kind exists for one purpose. Whoever is the last one standing will become all-powerful and shall learn the secrets of the other Paragons. Peach says, so you know of the Paragons too? Bowser says, did you say Paragon of Evil? I thought I would be the Paragon of Evil. Who else got to be a Paragon instead of me? And Cardot says, since getting brutalized by my brother, I did some researching on the other Paragons. There are 6 of them. Dactyr is the Paragon of Evil. I don't know who these other people are, but I have their names. Forful is the Paragon of Intellect. Luigi says, oh, he's a bad guy. We know him. Cardot says, Dementio, the Paragon of Reality. Lumia says, ha, that's rich. He's the most insane person I know. No grasp on reality at all. Chunk says, I suppose the trickster can bend reality and whatnot. Cardot says, Ducris. Ducris is the Paragon of Mischief. Kaboom says, oh, he's a constant pain. We definitely know him. Cardot says, Flint Cragley, Paragon of Bravery. And Cragley replies, Cragley ho! I, Flint Cragley, am the Paragon of Bravery. Cardot says, oh, that's you. Nice to meet you. And the final Paragon is the Paragon of Love, Timpani. And Timpani says, I'm Timpani, nice to meet you. And Blumia says, Timpani, you're a Paragon. Did you know this? Timpani says, I never knew. Cardot says, yes, the 6 Paragons fated to meet. It is imperative I get to my brother as soon as possible so we could stop him. If he ends me, he will gain all the power and knowledge of our kind. Bowser says, so I'm not a Paragon. That's not fair. And Anastasia says, anyway, let's go find Dactyr then. And Cardot says, I shall stay in here and cloak my house in darkness so my brother can't find me. Stay safe. They leave the house, only to be confronted by Dementio and Forful. Dementio says, greetings and salutations, heroes. We have returned once more to put a stop to your heroism. Bowser says, just get on with your little speech so we can beat you down. Forful says, silence, Fingrats. Forful underestimated you the first time we had encountering. Lumia says, Forful, Dementio, your road ends here. We're going to knock you out and use the power of the Paragons ourselves. Peach says, we'll use the power to maintain peace in our land and stop you. Dementio says, oh, how sweet. You really think you could all just team up and beat us? So very laughable. Forful says, Forful laughs at your attempts to band together. You are a weak, insignificant paper who should be torn apart by the scissor blades of Forful and Dementio. Timpani says, you won't get away with anything tricky this time, Dementio, and Forful won't help you anymore. Dementio says, very well. You think you're so brave, huh? How about 2v2 Paragon battle? Dementio knocks out everybody except for Timpani and Flint Cragley. Forful says, a rumble between Paragons. Such excitement, like a cake made of wow. Cragley says, Cragley ho! Fight against Forful and Dementio, which is what this really cool boss music from Space Lobster is. It's a mix of the Ultimate Show and the grand finale. So you do the fight and you win, and Dementio says, huh, you think you won this battle? Well, you won't win the war. We have one more trick up our sleeves. Forful says, yes, Forful shall show you true power. Forful zaps Dementio with a laser and then himself, which merges the two of them together into Dementorful. I have some concept art for Dementorful. I had about 12 designs I narrowed it down to. Here's the first 6. And then, 13 designs. Oh, my bad. There's 7 more. I was thinking this one, actually. This one. Top middle. I quite like that one. But yeah, so that's going to be like a fusion of Dementio and Forful. And then Dementorful says, the power of Dementorful will crush you. You can never hope to defeat us. Bowser says, oh, what happened? Whoa, what is that? Cragley says, Cragley ho! Dementio and Forful merged into a horrible monster. Dementorful attacks. A Flint Cragley crab-trotting adventure. Anastasia says, Dementorful, you're no match for our team. Luigi says, Dementio and Forful together? This is not good. Lumia says, Dementio, you were always so reliant on others to help you. You needed the heroes of prophecy to defeat me, and now you need Forful to stand any chance against us. You're weak. Dementorful says, silence, Finkrats! Time to end this. And so I strike, like an unseen dodgeball in an echoing gymnasium. battle against Dementor form. When you defeat him, Dementor 4 yells, "No!" and then explodes, leaving Forful and Dementio unconscious in the darkness. Bloomier says, "Dementio and Forful couldn't beat us, even with all that power." Bowser says, "Pathetic. Not even fused together could you stop us." And then a dark spiked figure similar to Cardot appears, and Bloomier says, "And who are you?" Dactor says, "My name is Dactor. You may have heard of me. I am the Paragon of Evil and one of the only 2 left in my race. Now, here's a little taste of what power I have." Dactor attacks everybody, knocking Bloomier out of sight, and everyone else gets taken by Dactor. Dactor says, "Now is the time for my ultimate plan. This world is mine." Chapter 7, Unlikely Heroes. Quick break again. Chapter 7, Unlikely Heroes. Scene opens on Dementio, Forful, and Bloomier, all regaining consciousness at the same time. So I can make these 3 voices different enough, so we start with Bloomier. What happened? Oh no. Forful is feeling awkwardness. You too. Bloomier, calm down. Now is not the time to fight again. 2 of us could easily beat you. We should focus on the fact that the Paragon of Evil just kidnapped all your friends, including the Paragons of Bravery and Love. Dactor has Timpani? Dactor, that's his name. I need to save Timpani, and everyone else too. Like it or not, you're not going to be able to do that yourself. We need to work together, Bloomier. No, I can do this myself. You are useless to me. Fine. See how far you get without us. When you change your mind, we will be waiting here. Waiting! Bloomier goes into Cardot's house. Cardot, Dactor kidnapped all my allies, including Timpani. And Cardot says, "So he took the Paragons of Bravery and Love. What of the Paragons of Reality, Intellect, and Mischief?" Bloomier says, "Reality and Intellect are waiting outside your house. Mischief was last seen in the Deadwood Forest." Cardot says, "This is not so good. I can't let Dactor take control of the Paragon power. I know where he is. I know where it is he is going, but he requires all 6 Paragons. He probably expects that Dementio and Forful will follow him to the place. Apparently the Paragon Shrine is located hidden in the basement of Peach's castle. We cannot allow Dactor to succeed in his evil goals. I must stop him myself so the power of my race isn't bestowed upon him." Bloomier says, "I suppose I could trick them into coming with me so we can use the Paragon power for good. I just want to save Timpani." Cardot says, "Well, take me to Peach's castle so we could stop this. Bring Dementio and Forful." Bloomier and Cardot exit the house and talk to Dementio and Forful. "Changed your mind yet, huh, Bloomier?" "Forful is growing impatient. Let's go already." Bloomier says, "Okay. You 2 are going to come with us, and we're going to go to Peach's castle and stop Dactor from destroying everything. What if we could use him to destroy the world and recreate it as we wish? I'm not playing your evil games, Dementio. I am not evil. I don't seek world domination. I just want to save Timpani." "Ah, forever under the control of that human girl, you are so weak and pathetic that you let somebody else completely restrict your life. You couldn't do anything for yourself, can you? You do everything for her. You know what that makes you? Think rat." "Not quite. I don't really know what he means by think rat, to be honest." "It makes you blind. Blind to what else happens in the world outside of your life with Timpani. Blind to your suffering of others. Even as of late, your obsession with Timpani has driven a wedge between you and Nastasia, who cared more about you than anyone else when Timpani was gone. You focus so much on one person that you don't see the bigger picture. There is so much suffering in the world." Oh my god. There is so much suffering in the world, and St. Elmo's fire comes on. Oh god, that was insane. "There is so much suffering in the world. Wouldn't it be nice to wipe it all out and rebuild it into a perfect world with no suffering, no games ending prematurely, and no pain? And of course, this new world requires a leader, which is why I'm here." And Bloomier replies, "Just because there's suffering in the world doesn't mean that they should all have their games ended because of it. There are so many innocent lives, and even those who aren't innocent don't deserve to have their games ended. People can change." Dementio says, "Oh, we both know you don't care about those other people. Only Timpani, your perfect Timpani. Nothing else really matters to you, and you can barely function without her. You think you're in this perfect relationship with your wife, but your relationship is toxic because you are so dependent on her. You were going to destroy all worlds permanently because she wasn't around anymore. You were going to end everybody's games. You do not deserve redemption nor a happy ending. In fact, I should end your game right here, right now. Dementio, Fuffle is thinking we need all the help we can get right now. Shut it! I'm tired of this narrative. The Black here deserves to be forgiven. I tried to create perfection and they call me evil, while Count Black attempted to permanently erase all life, and no one cares anymore because he's good again, and he's with Timpani, and everything's all sunshine and rainbows. Carter adds, I feel like you're forgetting that my brother Dactyl is trying to destroy the world right now. And Dementio says, Dactyl must be the most awful being in the universe for him to be the paragon of evil instead of Bloomier here. Need I remind you, slaughtered his entire race, father included. That is enough, Dementio. I've had enough of you! Fawful zaps both with a stunning blast from his laser gun. Fawful is growing tired of you yelling. Your argument is like two wrong sides of a same rusty coin of bitterness. Cardot says, please, we must work together to defeat Darktor. Bloomier and Dementio both say, fine. Dementio says, but when this is all over, Fawful says, I have impatience. Cardot says, let's go back to Peach's castle. We must stop Dactyl. The group head back through the torched, gloomy forest. Fawful says, I have concerns. That giant green plant man looks angry. Bloomier says, probably unhappy the bells have burned down all the green in this place. Dementio says, I think he's angry. Should we fight him? Cardot says, we have no time to waste. Let's vanquish this creature. Petty Piranha, Petey Piranha's here. And he goes, roar! That's his one line. Fight against Petey Piranha. Dementio says, well, now that is out of the way, let's go back to Peach's castle. The quartet go to Deadwood Forest. Are you feeling scared? Who is having the speaking? Boo-hoo. Who's there? Do you feel petrified? Bloomier says, show yourself. Terrified? Scariness. Cardot says, enough game. Show yourself, foul being. And then Bulossus appears and says, boo! Fight against Bulossus. And then Dementio says, quick, to Peach's castle. The group rush into Toad Town, noticing Peach's castle is now covered in shadow and darkness. That's what this black Peach's castle with the spikes is. Peach's castle has intimidation. Cardot says, definitely my brother's handiwork. Bloomier says, we have to stop him. They enter the castle and head into the basement. Timpani says, Bloomier, is that you? Bloomier says, Timpani. Bowser says, hey, help us. Nastasia says, Dementio and Fawful? Bloomier, you're not working with them, are you? Luigi says, watch out, behind you. Dactyl attacks Cardot and Bloomier, knocking them out. Dactyl says, Cardot finally coming out of hiding. So weak, so stupid, so pathetic. Dementio says, enough games, Dactyl. I am the paragon of reality. I am Dementio. And Lord Fawful is the paragon of intellect. So, two paragons stand against me. I shall enjoy ending you both and then claiming the paragon power for myself. That power is going to be mine. Fawful thinks Fawful heard you wrong. The paragon power will be ours, right? Sure, fine, whatever. Dactyl, prepare to feel the agony of game overing. By magic. Fawful's attacks are an unseen dodgeball in an echoing gymnasium, striking the nerdy little kid of you. Fawful. Sure, fine. Fawful, what the heck, man? That's my bit. Dactyl says, it's showtime. And Dementio says, gee, everybody wants to be Dementio. Fight against Dactyl. And then at the end of the fight, you defeated Dactyl. So with Dactyl, you have to defeat his arms and head to cause his heart to open. And so I've got this I got some more art of Dactyl. So you've seen main Dactyl. One of his attacks, Dactyl turns his arm into like this spike hand to swipe at you. And then when you defeat his arms and head, enough damage, you can see that his heart opens up. There it is. See? The heart. Yeah, and then you have to tap the heart. So it's kind of like Hakleta's soul. And so after you beat him up, a blade pierces through Daktor's chest, and Daktor says, Cardot, there could be only one. Then Cardot says, your game is over, brother. An aura of energy rises out of Daktor as his flame eyes burn out and the energy is absorbed by Cardot. Cardot says, now the power and knowledge of my race is all mine. It is in safe hands. Cardot frees the kidnapped from their shadow prison. Cardot says, now, if you all wouldn't mind, we need to head to Toad Town so I can use this power for its good purpose. All characters leave Peach's castle, and that ends chapter 7. We've got one chapter left. Chapter 8, The Legend of the Paragons. Scene opens on a fountain in Toad Town Center. Yep, that fountain. Cardot says, now that we are all here, this world can be saved with my new power. Allow me to show you the true Paragon Shrine. Cardot begins destroying the fountain, which reveals a shrine with 6 pedestals around it. This is the Paragon Shrine, disguised as a lowly fountain to blind people to its true purpose. Astasia asks, what is the purpose of this shrine? Bowser says, and I still want to know why I'm not a Paragon. Cardot says, you see, the shrine's only purpose is to use the power of the Paragons, consuming their lives. Blumia says, that doesn't sound good. This isn't going to hurt the Paragons, is it? Timpani says, whatever happens, Blumia, I'll be alright. Cardot says, don't be so sure. Cardot knocks out most of the characters except the 4 Paragons. Ducrus runs in and says, hey, I'm back. What did I miss, guys? Dementio says, Ducrus, run! Ducrus says, what, and leave you all to have a Paragon party without me, the Paragon of Mischief? Cardot says, I need you too. Cardot grabs the Paragons, places them all on the different pedestals. And then Ducrus says, hey, I can't move. Me neither. Farfel is feeling uneasy. Is this the end for Flint Cragley? And then Timpani says, what's happening? Blumia, struggling to talk, says, Timpani says, Blumia. Blumia manages to just about squeeze out an I love you. And Timpani says, I love you too. Cardot says, silence! Now all that remains is to place the heart of my brother on this pedestal and the Paragon power will be mine. Cardot places the heart on the pedestal and Luigi says, Mario, where are you? Peach says, Luigi, it's just us two. Cardot says, you two can never hope to defeat me. Let's go. Fight against Cardot as Peach and Luigi. And I like with this fight, I managed to get this really cool, I managed to get the rights to this really cool guitar version of the Mario Galaxy 2 boss theme, and it's so cool. It's so cool. So yeah, you fight against Cardot as Peach and Luigi, and then you defeat Cardot, and he says, "Ha, ha, 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 ha! You thought that was it? That I would be finished that easily? No, not happening. Now witness my true power." Dementio says, "What's happening?" Fofo says, "Oh no." I got turned into Cleveland. Oh my god. Oh no. Cragley yells, "Crag!" Timpani says, "This doesn't feel good." And Ducrus says, "Are we dying?" Cardot says, "The 6 Paragons sacrifice for ultimate power. The Paragons are torn apart, and I wanted this kind of like paper shredder sort of effect. But the power of the Paragons is bestowed upon Cardot, who then grows bigger, and he knocks out Peach and Luigi. Bowser and Mario get up. Bowser says, "Mario, it's up to us now. We have to defeat this power-crazy maniac." Mario nods. Cardot says, "Enemies working together to defeat a greater evil. How cliche. I shall dispose of you quickly, then destroy this world, creating a world of shadow and evil." Now, Phase 2 Cardot, I got to the right, this really cool remix of the Paper Jam final boss theme, but the design for final round Cardot is actually next level. Once again, Space Lobster ran with the concept, and the result was amazing. Here's the result. He's got his blinged out crown. And the heart and the different body patterns. And the belt with the 6 paragons on it, which is really neat. Yeah. Cardot's final form is actually awesome. I think I'm done with that now. So Bowser and Mario then have to fight Phase 2 Cardot. But, of course, Bowser and Mario win. Same kind of mechanics as with Dactyl for both phases of Cardot, is you gotta attack the heart. Cardot yells, "No, this cannot be happening." Bowser says, "Even with the Paragon power, you couldn't stop us." An orb rises up out of the shrine and contains the Paragon power as Cardot is torn apart. Everyone else begins to wake up. Peach says, "I think it's all over." Nastasia says, "Blumiere, are you alright?" And Blumiere is silent at this point because the Paragons are dead. Yep, I mean, Timpani's dead, Domenio's dead, Forful's dead, Ducris is dead, Flint Cragley is dead, Dactyl and Cardot are dead, so he's just silent. And Bowser says, "Now that Cardot's done for, let's just get back to normal. I'll give you guys a week, and then I'm kidnapping Peach. See you then." So Bowser leaves, Blumiere leaves, Nastasia says, "I know where he went, I'll go check on him." Nastasia leaves, Chunks says, "I'm heading back to Mimi in the desert." Chunks away, Chunks leaves. Kaboom questions, "Is Flint Cragley gone?" Peach says, "I'm afraid so." Kaboom says, "And all the other Paragons?" Luigi says, "They're gone too. Timpani, Dementio, Ducris, Forful, Daxor, all gone." Kaboom leaves. And then Luigi says, "This turns out to be quite sad, really. Aren't our adventures supposed to have happy endings?" Peach says, "Mario, are you okay?" Luigi says, "Let's go back to the castle. I guess Bowser will be attacking soon." So now we time skip 5 days. This is still chapter 8, the final chapter, but it's a chunky chapter. So we go forward 5 days, and the scene changes to Blumiere at that hill. That one I showed you, the purple hill with the. I got the music for it. Let me get the picture back up. But so this one sets back onto this hill that I made. Yeah, here. That's this scene. So we go back to Blumiere on this hill, and Stasia arrives and finds Blumiere just standing there by himself. Stasia asks, "Blumiere, are you alright?" And Blumiere says, "She's gone." "I know, but nothing can be done. Since that day, I tried everything to get her back." "Blumiere, she's gone. You have to accept that." And then he starts becoming Count Black. The red starts creeping back into the eyes instead of the green. "Without her, life is meaningless." Nastasia says, "You're not going to do what I think you're going to do, are you?" And Count Black lets out this little bleh. And Nastasia says, "Count Black?" Count Black says, bleh. Nastasia says, "Count, is that you?" Count Black says, "Timpani is gone forever, and so shall this world be gone." Nastasia says, "You don't have to destroy the world, Count Black. You don't need Timpani." And Count Black says, "Why not? She's the only one who ever mattered to me." And Nastasia says, What about me?" "You can never replace her. Please don't destroy the world. Give me one good reason not to." "Because I care about you." Silence. Count Black sends out this wave of dark matter which knocks Nastasia down. And he says, "Oh, Nastasia, I'm so sorry." Nastasia goes, "What?" Blumiere says, I didn't mean to hurt you." Nastasia says, "After all I've done for you, you attacked me?" So then Blumiere says, "I didn't mean to hurt you, Nastasia." And Nastasia says, "And yet you always do. You always hurt me with your obsession with Timpani. And the moment she's gone, you're snapping back into Count Black. As much as I care about Black, it's better for everyone else that he never comes back." Blumiere says, "I can't stop him." Nastasia, please leave. I don't want to hurt you. Nastasia says, "You keep saying that, but you already hurt me. You know, I've learned a thing or two on our adventures. From our friends, I am my own person. I'm not going to let myself become as dependent on you as you are on Timpani." Count Black exclaims, "I don't need you." Nastasia, silent. Blumiere says, I didn't mean that." Nastasia says, "I can't tell if you're Blumiere or Count Black or something else, but whoever you are, I hope you can make peace with the fact that Timpani is gone, and I'm done with you. I'm leaving." Blumiere goes, I need you." Anastasia says, I'm not falling for that anymore. Anastasia leaves, and then Blumiere says, I'm sorry. Remember, get this kind of cool thing where he's arguing with himself, so he flicks from green eye to red to green to red to green to red. So, Blumiere, Count Black. I'm sorry. You left me too. I wish I could be okay. That book cursed me. She was my only cure. Stop. And then the scene changes back to Toad Town. And so Luigi's just out there with Mario. And he's just like, hey, Mario, lovely day today, huh? And Peach says, it is nice. Bowser arrives and says, hey, guys. Luigi says, Bowser, what are you doing here? Bowser says, I guess I wanted to drop in. I'm not feeling particularly evil at this point. Are you okay? Peach says, we're all fine. Thank you, Bowser. Count Black off screen, you can hear him, and he just goes, bleh. That's when we've got this Count Black remix. Yeah, I love the soundtrack. So you just hear in the distance, bleh. Bowser goes, oh no, I recognize that evil laugh. Peach says, does sound familiar. And Luigi says, Count Black! Count Black appears in the sky with new powers, and Bowser's like, Blumiere, what are you doing? Count Black yells, Blumiere is dead. The man who appears before you is Count Black. Peach says, stop this, please. I know Tiffany is gone, but you must move on. She wouldn't want you to do this. Count Black says, silence! You cannot break this curse. So Count Black begins to do what he does. He tears apart the kingdom piece by piece, and the four heroes just black out. And then they awaken in a new reality. That was that concept art I showed you earlier. This one, this is the new reality. This concept art, that's kind of the final area of the game. So they awaken this new reality, which has this theme. And it's really cool. Again, the music is so good. The music is the best thing to come out of this project. Anyway, so yeah, we got the four heroes awaken the new reality, and Bowser says, whoa, what is this place? And Luigi says, it looks like Count Black tore reality apart. Peach says, he's probably at the end of this long path. Bowser says, let's go beat some sense into him. Luigi says, let's go. They begin to walk, and Waluigi's there, and he goes, hey. Luigi says, hey, Waluigi. Waluigi says, this place went crazy. I still got better items for sale than Wario. Buy some. They continue to the first battleground, and No Chunks drops in with his gra googly. And Bowser says, oh, Chunks, come on, get out of the way. No Chunks says, I serve the counter counts itself. Now I'm going to have to get chunky with you. Bowser says, we played this game before and I destroyed you. No Chunks says, chunk time. So then we get Bowser versus Oh Chunks. Really? There's an advert on this one? Okay. This is really cool. It's like a mix of Oh Chunks' theme tune, but with a little bit of the boss battle from Double Dragon 2 in there. It's a really random one, but I really wanted it in there somewhere. So it's such a cool little theme. So Bowser and Oh Chunks fight each other, and Bowser says, see, you can't beat me. So the platform starts cracking intensely. And Oh Chunks says, you're not getting to the count. Bowser says, Peach, Mario, Luigi, go to the count. I'll hold Oh Chunks off. Peach says, thank you, Bowser. They run off ahead as Bowser and Oh Chunks brawl. Oh Chunks says, your game is over, laddie. And Bowser says, I'm taking you with me. The platform crumbles as Bowser and Oh Chunks seemingly fall to their doom. We are kind of repeating the hits of Chapter 8 of Super Paper Mario, but it's linear. It's a parallel. That's the point. It's not derivative. It's intentional. So they fall, and then Peach exclaims Bowser, and Luigi says, let him go, Peach. We've got bigger problems. Wario turns up and says, hey. Peach says, Wario, what are you doing here? Wario says, this place may have been destroyed, but I've got better items than Waluigi. Feel free to give me your money. It turned into Mr. Krabs. I don't know why. My throat is dying. It's been too much. I've been at it for almost 3 hours. So they continue to the second battleground, where Mimi is there. So let's get a battle against Mimi. So Mimi's there, and she's like, "Oh hey, yeah, the count doesn't want any visitors, so I'm gonna have to stop you right there." Peach says, "You again? We've danced this dance before, and do you remember what happened? I beat you." Mimi says, "I can't let you pass." Peach says, "I'm gonna have to beat you again, Mimi. We need to get to the count." Mimi says, "Very well. True Mimi, come forth." And then she turns into the Spider Mimi, and Peach and Spider Mimi have a one-on-one fight. And then Peach wins, and Mimi goes, "Owie!" Returns to her normal form, and Peach says, "Had enough, Mimi?" Mimi says, "I can't let you pass. The count demands it." So Peach says, "Mario, Luigi, go. I'll keep her occupied." Mimi says, "No, you won't." Peach and Mimi fight again while Mario and Luigi escape. The platform breaks, dropping Peach and Mimi into the nothingness below. Luigi yells, "Princess!" There's silence. Luigi says, "We should go find the Count. I presume Dementio won't be stopping me, so we'll fight him together." And then Daisy's there. She says, "Hey, Luigi." Luigi says, "Oh, hey, Daisy, you're here too." And Daisy says, "Yep, this is our last location. Feel free to stay to refill your HP and SP." Game mechanic dialogue. The birds continue to the end of the path where Count Black is, and now we get this absolutely amazing Mario final boss mashup. Danger on the rise. There's an advert on this one as well. Don't tell me about my gut health, bro. Okay. Yeah, it's a mix of Count Black's theme with Adventure's End and Battle with King Ollie and Cacklauder's Soul. It's so good. So they reach to the end of the path where Count Black is, and Count Black says, "You weren't supposed to make it here, but I guess I knew you would." Luigi says, "This ends now, Count." Black laughs at your useless attempts to undo my plan. "The world is dying under the monocled gaze of Count Black. We won't let you destroy this world." "Very well. I'll just have to destroy you both. Let's go." A fitting backdrop for the final confrontation reality will ever see. Then you fight against Count Black. And then so you defeat Count Black with Mario and Luigi, and Count Black says, "This isn't over yet." Nastasia appears out of nowhere. And we get Nastasia Returns, which is a really nice little piece of music. It's kind of a not encore. It's kind of like a reprise of the Bowser and Nastasia theme from Chapter 4. But it's mixed with the wedding theme as well. It was like Promise. It's got like a bit of Promise in there, which is nice. Because Super Mario has just a great soundtrack. See if I can get to where it gets really good. We get there. So Nastasia returns and she says, "Count, stop this. You don't need to destroy the world, okay?" And then Count turns briefly back into Blue. This is the part. I love that melody. I love that melody. It's so good. And that's original. That's original Dementio 21 composition. Absolutely amazing. So then we've got so Count Black briefly turns back into Blumir with his green eye and says, "Nastasia, you came back?" Nastasia says, "I always will." And Blumir says, "I'm sorry." Nastasia says, "Please stop what you're doing." Blumir, "I can't." He turns back into Count Black. "Nastasia, you dare stand against me after I saved you?" Nastasia says, "Count, this is not right. What would Timpani say if she saw you like this?" Count Black says, "You do not get to say her name." Nastasia says, "I know how you feel. You love someone who you can't be with. I know how you feel because I feel that way too." And Count Black yells, "Silence!" Then you get to pick a character, Mario or Luigi, to join the final battle. For this instance, we're going to choose Mario. Count Black destroys the platform into pieces. Black, Anastasia, and Mario stay on the same platform. Anastasia says, Count, come to your senses. Count Black says, if I can't be with her. He pulls out the Paragon Power Orb and says, then I shall use this Paragon Power to destroy all worlds permanently. Count Black becomes more powerful. Count Black says, now I shall end this world. Anastasia, don't get in my way. I don't want to hurt you. Anastasia says, if you destroy the world, it will still hurt me. Count Black says, very well, your fate is sealed. Count Black Battle Phase 2. This, Tattered Reality Fast versions. This is the main theme of the area, but sped up. It's got like Castle Black, Antasma's theme, Elder Princess Shroob. It's layered with good stuff. Because the initial idea was Danger on the Rise was going to be the final boss theme, and then I said to Dementia 21, I said, look, Tattered Reality might be better, so what if we reuse that as the final boss theme? And they said about speeding it up, and I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. And it works! It's so good. And then after Count Black is defeated,
Our experts free you from unreliable broadband.
broadband. After Count Black is defeated, we get broadband. Yeah, we get this remix of Champion of Destruction. So Count Black's defeated, he yells Black, and Anastasia says, Count, are you okay? Count Black drops to the ground, and Anastasia says, Count, you must stop this. That kind of power is not meant to be used. It's too much. You're going to get your game ended. Blumia says, Anastasia, I'm sorry for everything. Then Corporal Kaboom parachutes into the area, and Kaboom says, wait, Blumia, it's not too late. And Blumia says, what? How so? Kaboom says, this page here, and he pulls out a piece of paper. I'm not sure how he pulls out. He doesn't have hands. Or pockets, so I don't know. But he pulls out a piece of paper and says, if the person using the Paragon Power wishes to restore the Paragons, he or she must exchange their life for the Paragons to return. So Blumia says, is that so? Then I shall do this. I must bring Timpani back. Anastasia says, but I don't want to lose you, Count. Blumia says, Anastasia, you have to let me go. Anastasia says, Count, I promise to serve you until the end. I'm not stopping now, okay? Blumia says, no, go now. You've got 60 seconds to leave now before my game ends. Run away as far as you can. Anastasia says, I won't leave you. This isn't how it has to end. So Count Black gets back up and he floats backwards until he is no longer above the ground. Anastasia says, Count, what are you doing? What needs to be done, Blumia says. Count Black has done so much evil. I can't let him hurt anyone else. This is how my game ends. I'm sorry for everything I put you through, Anastasia. Anastasia says, it's okay, Count. I love you. And Blumia says, goodbye, Anastasia. Say hello to Timpani for me. Count Black lets himself fall into the void below the area as a bright white light engulfs the screen. The scene reopens on Toad Town. The kingdom is back to normal. The Paragons are back, and Count Black is nowhere to be seen. Bowser says, "Gah, what happened? I was falling below chunks, and then I just woke up here." Cragley says, "Cragley ho! Somehow Flint Cragley has returned from the afterlife. A true miracle." Timpani says, "Blumia, where are you?" Anastasia says, "Timpani, Blumia is gone." Timpani says, "What? No, that can't be." Then Mario would say something, and Timpani would say, "What was that, Mario? He gave his life for us to return." Dementio pops in and says, "And so I return, like a..." And Bowser just yeets in and says, "I got you now," and just takes him down. So Bowser and Ochunks grab Dementio and Forful, and Forful says, "Ow, unhand us, Finkrats. Forful has just wanted some world conquering." Ducris says, "Hey, this has been fun, but I gotta go. Catch you later, fools." Ducris runs away. Bowser says, "Hey, Glass, it's good to see you're still alive." And Anastasia says, yeah, I guess." Bowser says, "My offer still stands if you want to work with me, General Anastasia." Anastasia says, "Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Bowser." Luigi says, "Anyone check to see if Dactor is round?" Cragley says, "I believe he was vanquished by his brother and so shall not return to us. We are safe." Mimi says, "So, what do we do now that everything is back to normal? What are we going to do without the Count?" Then Kaboom says, I think it is important to remember the events of what happened here today and over the course of this grand adventure. Blumia may have gone evil, torn apart by his curse, but he did the right in the end, and we're all safe. There are worse fates that could have fallen upon us had these events not occurred exactly as they did. Lumia's sacrifice means something. I think we owe it to him to keep him in memory. Timpani says, that sounds lovely. Bowser says, and now that we're finished with that, I am hungry. Let's go get something to eat. My treat. Peach says, that's very nice of you, Bowser. And Luigi says, let's go. Chunk says, I'm gonna get some hamage. They will leave for Bowser's castle and roll credits. That's a Mully Yogurt advert. That's not credits.
If I could extract it from the pot, I'd happily serve it at the dinner party.
Bruh, just let me skip the goddamn Mully Yogurt. There's like everyone's theme is in this thing. It's so cool. This is Fantastic Voyage, the end credit theme. Credits roll. So we got some scenes during the credits. The first one is a scene between Dementio and Forful who are in prison. Dementio says, hey, let us out. Don't you know who I am? I'm the master of Diment. And Forful says, silence, Finkrat. Forful would be at home eating a cake of success if you hadn't messed things up. What do you mean I messed things up? We didn't do anything wrong. Cardot got involved and destroyed our plans. If you didn't make Forful work with Blumia, things would have been different. Count Black ended his game so we could return, show the man some respect. Black didn't want Forful and Dementio to return, he wanted Timpani. We were the unwanted side salad on the plate of desire. And what was with that Dementorful idea? A child come up with that. Goombala Luigi says, hey, shush. Jeff says, no talking in your cell, convicts. Scene 2, Ducris is in the Deadwood Forest. And he sees Dupless, and Dupless is like, hey there, cousin, you here? And Ducris is like, yeah, I'm here. Do you get it? The item from Peach's castle? Stole it while no one was looking after Count Black ended his game. Shame he had to go, but I got the item. Dupless says, yes, with this the Duplicus uprising can begin. Whee! Ducris says, also, do you know how many times they called me Dupless? It was so annoying. Dupless says, you wish you were me. My powers are better. You want to go? Try me, Slick. Oh, now you've gone too far. Nobody calls me Slick. Duplicate ghosts rush in to stop them from fighting. Scene 3 is on Cragley Island. Captain Toadbeard is there, and he's like, Cragley Island approaching. And Cragley says, back to my island for more exploration. Even after the dangers of adventure, Flint Cragley continues adventuring, because Flint Cragley can never die. Kaboom says, except you did. If it wasn't for Blumia, your game would still be over, Cragley says. Good point. Anyway, what should we explore first, Kaboom, Cragtrotter? Kaboom says, Cragtrotter? Me? Wow, I'm honored. I don't mind. Maybe we should look for treasure on the island or something. And then Cragley says, first of all, how do pirates know they exist? And Kaboom says, I don't know. They both look at Captain Toadbeard, and Cragley says, they think, therefore they are! Captain Toadbeard pushes them overboard into a life raft. Captain Toadbeard says, paddle the rest of the way there yourselves. And then Cragley and Kaboom both yell, Cragley ho! Scene 4, Bowser returns to his castle with a smaller throne beside him. Bowser says, minions! As an act of mercy to the princess after all we've been through lately, we are taking a vacation for a while. Goomba says, oh yeah! Koopa Troopa says, vacation! Woo! Monty Mole says, hey, King Bowser, who's this other throne for? Nastasia says, yeah, that one is for me. Bowser says, General Nastasia, this is my Koopa Troop. Or at least some of my Koopa Troop. Nastasia says, what about those guys with the hats? Sombrero guy walks in and says, shy oh mine, hi, King Bowser, any requests? Bowser says, how about Fantastic Voyage, which is the name of the end credits song. So wherever it is in the credits, the Sombrero guy will start playing music at the same time. Sombrero guy says, sure thing, Bowser. Okay, Dad, and a 1 and a 2 and a shy oh mine. Shy Band starts playing Fantastic Voyage. And then scene 5, goodbye. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Wario, Waluigi, and Timpani wave. A sniff appears from behind the rebuilt Toad Town Center fountain. All is a postcard picture with a message, Mushroom Kingdom memories. The credits end. And then 1 year later, Peach's castle, filled with all allies from the game. And Peach says, thanks you all for coming. As I'm sure you will remember, it's been a year since we lost our friend Blumiere. Simply wanted to have this gathering to remember him and to appreciate our lives. Enjoyed the party. Bowser says, and I even brought my Shy Band to play some live music. Aren't I a great king? Luigi says, so everybody eat us a cake. The Shy Band play a song. The focus changes to Count Bleck's former minions, excluding Nastasia. Ochunk says, hey, this is the greatest cake I had in my life. Mimi says, yeah, even though the Count's gone, we must be thankful for the Count. Dementio says, very true. Mimi says, Dementio, what are you doing here? Ochunk says, you got some nerve showing your weird face around here. Dementio says, if not for the Count, my game would still be over. I owe him that much. Plus, those Goombas are keeping an eye on me if I try anything funny. The focus shifts to Cragley, Kaboom, Nastasia, and Timpani. Cragley says, thanks to the Count, you and I are still alive, Timpani. He was a truly great guy. Kaboom says, after the Paragons disappeared, I searched Cardot's house for any clues on how to bring you all back. I found a page explaining how and brought it to Blumiere. Timpani says, you were very brave to do so. I wish he was still here, though, to see the happiness he's brought. I miss him so much. Kaboom says, it's okay, Timpani. You've still got all of us, your friends. We won't leave you, and he knows you're safe, somehow. Nastasia says, yeah, I miss the Count too, but we'll get by. As long as we have our friends. And I know he still cares about us, wherever he is. Cragley says, now you must eat this cake. It is mind-cracklingly good. Focus returns to Mario, Peach, Bowser, and Luigi. It ends where it begins. Luigi says, I guess all is well that ends well for us. Peach says, yes, we may have lost a good friend in Blumiere, but the kingdom is safe once again. Bowser says, and now I have Anastasia working with me as general of the Koopa troops. She deserves the job, really. Peach says, oh, Bowser, you do have a sweet side. Bowser says, no, I'm not sweet. Shut up or I'll kidnap you again. I don't plan on attacking you ever again, to be honest, but if you throw around accusations of me being good, then I'll have no choice. Luigi says, hey, Bowser, credit where it's due. Your Shy Band can play real good. That Bowser says, nothing for the best for King Bowser. Focus on O-Chunks in the middle of the room. O-Chunks says, raise your chunks into the air for the counter counts. Blumiere. Everyone cheers, screen fades out. Now there's an epilogue narrated by narrator. I just want to mention this last piece. This last piece is called Story's End. It is 20 minutes long, and it consists of every piece of music from the OST. All of it. Just brief parts. So here's the epilogue. The narrator returns. And thus our story ends. Peace was once again restored to the Mushroom Kingdom, if only briefly before whatever next big encounter the heroes will face. Count Bleck or Blumiere ended his game to help stop reality from being destroyed and to bring back the Paragons, who were seemingly torn apart after Cardot used the Paragon Shrine. Cardot and Dactyl were both torn apart, and so their races died out. The dark secrets they held in their knowledge and the dark powers they wielded were no more, forever to be lost in the sands of time. Flint Cragley, after returning to life, continues to prove his bravery alongside his new buddy, Crag Trotter Kaboom. Captain Toadbeard has given them a lifetime ban on catching his boat to mainland, so they must paddle on a paddle boat back, despite Kaboom's lack of arms for paddling with. Ducrus avoided being captured upon his return and met up with his cousin Dupless in the Deadwood Forest, now known as the Duplighost Forest. They may argue a lot, but they may have evil plans to execute. Imagine if there was a Duplighost for every resident in the kingdom. Forfil and Dementio have been kept locked up in Icetown, guarded by Jeff and Goomba-Luigi. Dementio's magic powers have been drained thanks to the magic within his cell, so Dementio is harmless. Forfil, on the other hand, is still plotting revenge, but by the time they get released from prison, he will have forgotten it anyway. Needless to say, they're going to be there for a long time. Mimi returned to a desert town, charging residents an extortionate ruby toll to keep her satisfied. Francis learnt of a new website called digicastle.ner and gave Bowser's Castle a bad review, even though he's never been there. Chunks has grown fond of desert life, so he lives in the town too, often exploring deeper into the Pyramid of Chunks. Bowser and Anastasia command their Koopa troop, moving some into the vacated Castle Black, which is now a training facility and weapons factory for Bowser. Wario and Waluigi decided to close their stores and open a new one together, bringing in more profit, even though neither of them had plans to split it equally. Sniff was arrested in Toad Town for market price extortion and selling cooking mistakes for 1,000 coins. Our main heroes, Mario, Luigi, and Peach, are enjoying the quiet of Toad Town along with me. I live there now. This is where you realize the narrator is Timpani. The world has taken a pause from the chaos for a while, thankfully. If it wasn't for my Blumiere, I'd be gone forever. So I shall always remember Blumiere, who loved me, and Count Black, who ended his game for me. Anastasia and I often talk of him and what he meant to us. Blumiere was my love, and Count Black was Anastasia's. He will be missed. This concludes our story today. I hope you enjoyed the story. I know I did, since I was there. It was an amazing adventure I shall not soon forget. With all evil defeated and prophecies once again halted, our story is over. May we meet in another time and place for another story as exciting as this one. Goodbye for now, friends. I hope you will remember the events that transpired today, and the highs, lows, hellos, and goodbyes, for it is the way of life. As long as we get through them, then life is a blank page ready for our own story. We can all write our own endings. And that concludes Super Paper Mario 2. That was long! Wow, that was long. I do actually want to bring up the alternate script. So I'm going to split screen. And I'm going to go find the other ending. I can't believe how long that is. The Word document I've got on here, the old script with 2 endings, is 19,000 words. Chapter 8. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, see if I can find. So I've got the original script here, which is a little different. It goes back as far as after you defeat Count Black in his final form. Kaboom pulls up and says about the fact that you can exchange your life to bring Paragons back. And Count Black says, "Is that so? Then I shall do this. I must bring Timpani back." And Anastasia says, "But I don't want to lose you, Count." Count Black says, "Anastasia, you have to let me go." Anastasia says, "Count, I promise to serve you until the end. I'm not stopping now, okay?" Count Black says, "No, go now. You've got 60 seconds to leave now before my game ends. Run away as far as you can." This is where the script changes. Anastasia embraces the Count. Count Black says, "What are you doing?" Anastasia says, "Count, I'm not leaving you. This is our game over." Count Black says, "If this is truly what you want, then who am I to stop you?" Anastasia says, "Count, I love you." And Count Black says, "Goodbye, Anastasia." Count Black and Anastasia are enveloped in a growing white light which engulfs everything. The scene reopens in Toad Town. All the same dialogue for now. And then after Ducrus runs away, Ochunk says, "Hey, where's Anastasia?" Kaboom says, "Anastasia, she's with the Count." Ochunk says, "Oh, I see." Bowser says, "Anastasia's gone? Oh, I'm gonna miss her." Luigi says, "Anyone check to see if Dactylo's around?" And my kind of rest of the scene plays out as it did in the first one. We get to the post-credit scenes. 1, 2, and 3 are the same. 4 is Bowser's Castle is different. Bowser says, "Minions, as an act of mercy to the princess after we've been through lately, we are taking a vacation for a while." Goomba says, "Oh yeah." Koopa Troopa says, "Vacation, woo." Monty Mo says, "Hey, King Bowser, who's he have a throne for?" And this is where it's different. Bowser says, no one. That the person it was intended for is gone. Spike says, "Hey, cheer up. I got you a steak." Spike gives Bowser a steak. Sombrero guy comes in and says, "Shio Maya, hi, King Bowser. Any requests?" And Bowser says, "How about Celebration Reunion?" That was the original name for Fantastic Voyage, I think. Or maybe it was the original name for this final piece, Story's End. I don't know. One of the pieces was originally named Celebration Reunion, because this is an old copy of the script. And then they play that. And then the post-credit scene is a little different. So Peach says, "Thank you all for coming, as I'm sure you all remember 1 year ago today, Count Black and Anastasia ended their games for us to live on." During the scene between Ochunks, Mimi, and Dementio, Mimi says we should be thankful for the Count and Nassie rather than just the Count. Then we get to the scene with Cragley, Kaboom, and Timpani. Cragley says, "Thanks to the Count, you and I still alive, Timpani. He was a truly great guy." Kaboom says, "And me. I'm the one who showed him the text." Timpani said, "You're very brave to do so. I wish he was still here to see the happiness he's brought. I miss him so much." Kaboom says, "It's okay, Timpani. You've still got all of us, your friends." So that's pretty much the same. And then Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser conversation. Peach says, "Yes, we may have lost 2 good friends in Bloomier and Anastasia, but the kingdom is safe once again." And Bowser says, "And to think I was going to make Anastasia a general of my army if she survived. I kind of grew to enjoy her company." And then Peach throws out the line about Bowser having a sweet side, and it continues. And then Ochunk's final line of "Raise your chunks into the air for the Count accounts Anastasia" finishes and fades out. The epilogue is pretty much the same. There's a slight difference. The scene about Anastasia working for Bowser is not there anymore in the epilogue. Bowser commands his Koopa troop, moving some into the vacated Castle Black, which is now a training facility and weapons factory for Bowser. So it cuts any mention of Anastasia being his general. And then the ending is a teeny bit different. The world has taken a pause from the chaos for a while, thankfully. If it wasn't for my Bloomier, I'd be gone forever. So I should always remember Bloomier, who loved me, and Count Black, who ended his game for me. No further mention of Anastasia. And that is the difference. And that really does wrap up the whole of Super Paper Mario 2. It has been a very long video. But yeah, it was interesting. I wanted to... The first ending was the one I wrote, was the one when Anastasia dies with Count Black. And I thought, is it too dark? If I'm already killing Count Black for good, is it too dark to kill Anastasia as well? And so I then thought, I'll write the other ending where Anastasia is as Bowser's general. Because I'd done a little setup with Bowser and Anastasia, and I never planned to kind of set them up. But, you know, the story went where it went, and I thought, well, I've got Anastasia staying behind in the pyramid. Bowser can't go with Peach. And so Peach goes with Mario, and Bowser stays behind. So it naturally just came about, and I thought, okay, let's see what I can work with. I put them together, and yeah, Bowser and Anastasia, the characters just sort of worked. And so I liked kind of alluding to this sort of relationship of sorts between them. So that was fun. I like the Bowser and Anastasia thing. But overall, that was it. You know, I wanted to replace a lot of the hits of Super Paper Mario. But I wanted to add a lot of new stuff in. Dactor and Cardar, I'm really happy with their designs. That's obviously new stuff. I wanted to go back to revisiting Count Black as the villain and genuinely kill him off. To save Timpani. Because I think Bloomy and Timpani die in Super Paper Mario, but it's dubious. I mean, the end credit shows them together, but that very well just could be the afterlife. So it's dubious, so I thought, well, I'll keep them alive for now, and I'll give us some absolute certainty with this one. The Dementio Forful thing was a big thing for me. I really wanted to do that crossover. Like, they just seem like they pair so well together. You know, the mannerisms, the eccentricities, they just pair together. So yeah, that was Super Paper Mario 2. And my plan was to present it almost like a movie, but with animated battle scenes. And it was going to have dialogue, voiceovers, and everything. Backdrops, character art, battle animations. It was going to be a whole thing. And I was really excited to make that happen, but it just didn't really seem to be taking off. And so I thought, okay, it's you know what, we tried. And so I figured, okay, I'll do a live stream now to wrap the whole thing up and shut it down and say, hey, the book is closed on Super Paper Mario 2: The Legend of the Paragons. It was very fun, but I'm glad to have that closed because I have so many projects that I just don't think I was ever going to get back around to this one. If somehow this one gets enough traction behind it that loads of people want to help out or something, and we can genuinely make it into a whole thing, absolutely, I would love to revisit it someday. Maybe I'll rewrite the script one more time and make a few changes and just neaten things up. There was a few things in there that I thought could be better. It's not perfect, but then again, I wrote most of this script as a 16-year-old and tampered with it slightly like last year. So, for an early writing, I'm actually quite happy with that as one of my early pieces of work. It's not peak. It's not. It's got a lot of kind of fan service, I guess, with the Dementio 4 stuff. A bit of it's stupid, but I enjoyed it, and it's me. It's my writing. It's full of the joy that the young me had for the franchise. And not to say I don't enjoy the franchise anymore, I do, but I've not been closely connected to it for a while now. As most of the old subscribers who know about this project know that I don't play these games anymore. I've started playing some Mario games again recently, so hopefully I might get back to it. But I've not done it for a while. So it's been nice to kind of reconnect with the roots of my channel and to give this project a proper send-off. I would like to once again extend a huge thank you to everyone who has been a part of this project, no matter how big or small. I hope you all got something out of it. I might do a further edit of this video somewhere that kind of illustrates the script better, maybe with just a PNG of the character on screen that's talking, just to make it a little easier to follow. It might be a case of I might try and just do not animated but just still images of the characters and backdrops, and not animate the battles or anything. I'll just put insert battle here. But I might try and animate all the cutscenes or something to a degree of just those games where it just has the person who's talking who's bigger and a bit lit up, and then they fade in the other person, and it's got that dialogue at the bottom, and the backdrop's there. I might try and make something like that just so I can bring it to life a little bit. I'll figure out what I'll do about voices. I could do enough voices myself. I kind of like where I was going with Forful there at the end. It felt like, I felt like Forful. I felt like doing a little bit of like a Danhausen thing. Those who know. It's yeah, and then Dementio is just kind of heavy on the kind of posh British, I guess. But yeah, no, I could do a few of the voices. I could try and figure it out. I could try and use some voice changers or whatever for some of the characters, Dactor and Cardot. I'm sure I could hire someone to do the female voices, so we can get there. We can figure it out. So I might touch this again someday, but for now the intention is book closed. Yeah, but yeah, I don't think many people have tuned into the stream today. I think most of the subscribers that subbed to me when I was doing this project are probably unsubbed by now, because it has been over 5 years. This has been a long time in the making. So yeah, I guess not many people watching this will actually remember the project, but I hope anyone who does watch this who was a part of it knows that their contribution was greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoy this for the sense of closure it is as much as I do. It really is end of an era kind of thing. You know, I've been wrapping up a lot of my ongoing things lately. You know, we finished Five Guys at Freddy's. I finished this project here now. I mean, some Guys at Freddy's is going strong. The podcast is going fine, but I think there may end up being a pause in that at some point. So, you know, it does feel like a lot of things are coming to a closure for now. So it's nice to wrap this up and bring it all back around. You know, I'm yeah. This has been a long live stream. 3 hours 20. This has been a very long live stream. It was fun though. And I wanted to do this. I wanted to wrap it all up and bring it all together. Close it all off. But it's good. Yeah. I'm not sure I have much else. So I'm just gonna play the last 2 minutes of this song. Story's End, and then we'll wrap it up. Oh, I love that melody. Oh my god. So I suppose I'll spend the last 2 minutes just saying real quick that I have a membership program now which you can sign up for. It's £1.99 a month. You get exclusive videos, exclusive live streams, some early access to stuff, members only posts, priority comments. I will reply to every single one of your comments. You get some emojis. There will be more emojis when I get more members. You get a little badge with my channel logo next to your name. So you know there's a lot here. So if you feel so inclined to help support your local, well, not local, because most of my viewers are American, but and I'm British. But if you want to help your fellow small creator, $1.99 a month would do wonders. And outside of that, I've got more content coming soon. I'm working on a Mario Kart Wii video. It is diabolical. It is genuinely war. All for the sake of a Mario Galaxy ticket. It's insane. So stay tuned for that. I'm recording a new podcast episode next Friday. So there's plenty to go on. But yeah. Hope you enjoyed the live stream. Thanks to those of you who liked and watched. Like the video, comment, anything you want to ask or say about this project, comment it. I want to talk about it. Subscribe for more content. I'm so close to like 1,600 subs now. Subs do a world of wonders. And thanks for watching. That is Story's End. Thank you and good night.